Welcome to the 2025 Protyre Manx Rally. I'm Paul and you're watching coverage of the 2025 Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. And this is the second round. One of the most blistering blockbuster entries we've ever seen for the Manx Rally. And a big weekend of rallying here on one of the most historic motorsport islands. Rallying's favourite away day. The Manx Rally is back and we are delighted to be here. There's a real buzz, there's a real vibe in the service area, and all the talk is of how fast this weekend will be. Producer Wayne and I were talking on the way over here this morning to the stages. We don't think we've ever seen an entry quite like this one. And if you can take nostalgia away from it for a moment and just park the internationals from previous years, with the obvious exceptions therein, this is a big weekend for the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg come here with number one on the door. They've got 18 stages, nearly 120 stage miles over 2 days of competition in order to keep that number one and double their victory tally that they have here on the Isle of Man, having won here in 2022. 3 times a runner-up, Roskell, in this championship. 3rd place. Before that, he really wants this title, and it is going to be one heck of a battle out there. We're here in stage 2 at the moment, Paul Varsh, and in the first stage of the day, which was only a short 4-mile or so blast through the lanes, it's Sam Touzle leading the way. We knew the Jersey man would be quick, and we knew he was looking forward to this. Had a bit of a shakedown in the car at Cadwell Park last week. Is it a bit of a shakedown for the Manx? Well, it's more of a shakedown at Cadwell Park for the Manx than Philip Hopkins doing Donington Park a couple of weekends before, isn't it? But Touzle leads the way, 1.7 seconds behind Neil Roskell. And as you can see, we do have live in-car with Roskell as well. Putting a live camera in the car for you as we go through the live coverage this weekend. We joined Roskell on board for the shakedown stage earlier, and it was quite the ride. So there we go, getting ready to start. Rob Fagg alongside Pritchard in the Yaris Rally 2, just 1 second behind through the first stage. Mark Kelly 1.4 seconds behind in 4th place. Gary Jennings 0.8 back. Marty Toner 0.1 back. David Wright 0.6 back from them. McLaughlin with the biggest gap inside the top 10 at the moment, 5.3 back from David White. Hugh Brunton 4.1. And Ryan Loughran, 0.2 seconds back in 10th place. Very tight inside the top 10 after just 1 stage. And we are going to follow car 1. 3rd overall in the championship coming here, looking for a haul of points. Let's be right, he's looking for a victory here. I didn't quite ask him that yesterday, but I think that's a very unfair question to ask, because of course he's looking for victory, they all are. But I tell you what, I have never seen Neil Roskell looking quite so up for the fight as I did yesterday in service as he moves up to start the stage. Really did look up for the fight, did Neil. Kerristal kicked us off then. Paul Varsh here. A 3.5 mile stage. And we'll be at the end of this stage for our live coverage this evening, starting at 7:30ish. Interesting stage layout later on though. Toserby and the Nab turn into 15 and 8 mile stages from the 7 and 3 mile stage that we have this morning, and become the Elsersley and Abilene stages later on. So some nice creative work from the organisers here in the Manx Auto Club, the island's premier motorsport club. Lots of support from Jersey for the man leading this rally after the first stage. Sam Toozle. Max Freeman alongside in the Fiesta Rally 2. Another man fired up for the fight. And the cars are into the stage. Very short stage, we'll have them into view here. We're just ahead of the flying finish. It's a 90 right as they come into your view. You'll see in a moment. And then it is should be a 90 left, but it'll be a hairpin left round Bale. And then flat to the flying finish. Just look how tight those lanes are. How good is it to be putting you on board with the man with the number 1 on the doors? You are riding in the leading car coming into this rally, but it isn't the leading car here in stage 2. Neil Roskell. Rob Fagg in second place, to remind you, 1.7 seconds back. Here we go, we're underway then with our live coverage of the 2025 Proflex Manx Rally. Rob Fagg, incidentally, alongside Neil Roskell, one of the most prolific co-drivers to have come from the island. And we have had a few, haven't we? As a works co-driver in the BRC for Suzuki with James Wozencroft, then Martin Rowe in China in the Mitsubishi, 2005 and 6. He's co-driven for a number of drivers on this entry as well. George Collister, David Crane, local drivers, David Wright, Hugh Hunter, John Stone, Steve Simpson. The list goes on. Knows his way around this island, just what Neil needs alongside him. Some confidence and some local knowledge. We put the live camera equipment in the car this morning, and Wayne wasn't quite sure if Rob was joking or not when he said, guys, we're going to have to rebalance the car. Now you've still got that in the back. I suspect he wasn't joking. Ever the professional Rob Fagg. They came third overall on the East Riding stages to open their Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship campaign up. It was the roughest of events, though, for Roskell here on the Manx last year. 90th overall after returning to the entry list on the Super Rally. Hello to Andy Reid, watching along in the workshop. Dan Roskell wishing Dad best of luck. Let's go, he says. He is going. You can see that from the live onboard. How good does that look? And there's the first of our cameras. Luke Leonard delivering the goods. And here comes into my view and into your second view. Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg. Nothing left on the tarmac at all. Nice and neat round the bale. Neat and tidy. It looked fast, didn't it? Naomi Wilding wishing Ryan Wilding, Will Carlisle look. Stefan Walsh watching from County Galway in Ireland. Joe Gumley cheering on Gary Jennings, doing well so far. Casey Davies, good luck Di Roberts. Yeah, interesting story there, we'll come to that. Jonathan Roberts loves rallying, so do we. So do we. If you're just tuning in, this is the Proflex Manx Rally, and it is round 2 of the 2025 Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. We are underway. Sam Toozle leading the way after the first stage, and this is live action from stage 2. We have live on board as well from Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg, and as they head into the next stage, which is a repeat of this one, they will be slotted in and we'll have 30-second intervals, plenty of action. And there is the new look, Kelmore Polo R5. How good does that look? Mark Kelly, Will Atkins. There's not a lot to be gleaned visually from a hairpin, but they were neat and tidy and looked nice and fast around there, didn't they? Remember, if you are watching our coverage either on Facebook or YouTube or on specialstage.tv, all you've got to do is get involved. Just tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what you had for lunch. Having for lunch, I should say. We've had our lunch already, early one. So as soon as we're going to be live over lunchtime. Just get involved with the coverage and drop a comment in. We want to get you involved, and so does Dan Elmore from Rallying is Live, our merchandise partner. And we have one of our Money Can't Buy special stage Lombard RAC Rally themed hats to give away, and we do it at random to somebody who got involved in the coverage. David Wright, Shane Nicol. It looked fast because it was Larry, but I think they're the last a few tenths there. There was 0.6 back in 7th, weren't they, from Marty Toner coming into this second stage. I mean, early days, so let's not read too much into anything we saw from the stage 1, I suppose. 18 stages, 20 stage miles. That is almost 3 times the mileage of your regular rally, certainly a single venue. But it is one of the most iconic rallies in world motorsport. And it is one of my absolute favourite rally weekends of the year. Been coming here for nearly 16 years now and bought my first rally car from the Isle of Man. I love the place, I love the people, I love the history of rallying here. And I love how much rally victory here on the island means Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark getting to grips now with that Yaris Rally 2. 3-time Asphalt champion, 2018, 2019, 2021. 5 times Manx winner, and has had a second and a third here, so has the full collection. Last time he was here, the engine failed on the Focus WRC, which was the car, the 05 car that, incidentally, the North Road Garage man from Bilthwells took all of his championship and his Manx wins with. And that was in 2022 when the engine failed on shakedown. Only did one rally last year due to the delays in getting that Yaris Rally 2 out and shipshape. It was the North Road Garage Showground stages at Bilthwells as well. And that was in the Mark II. Had a bit of success here on the Isle of Man in that as well, hasn't he? Winning the historic Isle of Man. What a great looking Rally 2 car that is. And I have a feeling it's going to go pretty well as well. Gary Jennings, 0.8 back from Mark Kelly through that first stage. Should start to get some of the times through. So I will update you as soon as we do. I'm not having to juggle quite so much this time, I'm pleased to say. Difficult to glean too much from that until we do get our rally leaders through after the first stage. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman, who we should see next, shouldn't we? Gareth Doherty in the Fiesta Rally 2. First time out of Ireland for Ryan. Had a rough 2024. String of retirements, only one finish. And that was way down the order after issues. And it is his first Manx. Quite a few of our competitors this weekend enjoying their first Manx Rally adventure. Some doing their first ever rally here on the Isle of Man, which is a formidable thing to be doing, isn't it? Roskell then, behind Mark Kelly through this second stage. The second behind, the 3:13.5 from Roskell. Mark Kelly, a 3:12.5. David Wright, Jane Nichols splitting them 0.2 of a second slower through this stage. You see the Jersey man we mentioned earlier. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman alongside. Fastest through the first stage by 1.7 seconds. What can they do here in stage 2? At the moment, Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, just a little bit off the pace through this second stage in the Yaris. 3.4 seconds slower than Roskell. 4.4 slower than Mark Kelly. What has Sam Toozle done through here? Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy, a 3:14.8 from them. So fastest at the moment. Neil Roskell showing his fastest too here. Mark Kelly, Will Atkins, aren't they? Fastest through here at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what the overall leaderboard looks like. I'm just waiting for Sam Toozle's. Rallies.info is where you need to be if you want to follow these results yourself. He's fast. Through here is the Jerseyman. Wow. 1.9 seconds now. The gap pulling 0.2 of a second out from Roskell and Fag through this second stage. This is Sam Toozle. Mark Kelly, Will Atkins slotting into third now. After that slightly slower time through the second stage from There's Aaron McLaughlin, Darren Curran, like Ryan Loughran, first time out of Ireland. He has done events in France as well, though. Won the race and rally stages and was just outside the top 10 on the Tour of the Sperrins last time out. So far, a successful 2025 for the Irishman. What can he do here against very seasoned competitors on what is a fairly specialist event, though, here in the Manx? We will see. Joined by a number of spectators here in stage 2 towards the end. A white cottage on the inside of the final corner you see in your final shot, by the way, is where we stayed. The championship organisers last year's Manx. Bit of useless information for you. Lovely little cottage, though. And this is a lovely standing car, isn't it? Aidan Gallagher, mechanical retirement last time out on the third stage, but they were in fourth overall before that. Sixth overall after the first stage. What can he do here in stage 2? Mark Kelly then fastest through this second stage with a 3 minutes 12.5 seconds. Only a 3.5 mile stage. Shows you just how quick they're going with those average speeds through here. David Wright, second fastest. And Sam Toozle, third fastest, enough to eke out that gap in front as well. 3:13.3 from Toozle. There is our former Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally champion, Steve Wood. Kenny Hull alongside. Get some of your comments in a short while as well here on the special stage live stream. A beautiful sunny day here on the Isle of Man. It is perfect rally conditions, and we're all feeling very spoilt to be in these conditions, although we are due, at the latest weather forecast locally, rain tomorrow, so that could make things fairly interesting, couldn't it? Second of the Citroens, Carl McCarthy, Eric Calnan, another man joining us over from Ireland. We have seen him on events in the past that we've done here on special stage like Wexford, the Down Rally more recently. Hasn't joined the championship points and isn't here either scoring points. Good to see him out of Ireland and on Motorsport Island here on the Isle of Man. So at the moment then, Sam Toozle, Max Freeman, who have looked very confident, haven't they, since winning last year's Jersey Rally. That really did give almost an air of entitlement to Toozle to leave his home rally. Got that monkey off his back, and now he can go in hunt of prizes elsewhere. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank, a competitor we have loved seeing here over the years and has done a lot with us on our special stage live streams here. Had a big accident A couple of years ago, though, in the 2023 event, ends up in the trees. Interestingly, has Andy Marchbank alongside his long-time former co-driver back. Andy had retired, but it's great to see him back, and good to see the pair back together again as well. A successful pairing in the sport. Sam Touzle, Max Freeman then lead the way here on the 2025 Proflex Manx Rally. Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg in second place, 1.9 seconds back. Mark Kelly, Will Atkins, 1.4 back from them. As you see, a man who has really come on strong lately, Roger Duckworth in Windrush alongside. Limited campaign in recent years, but had a good result on these riding stages, narrowly missing out on the podium on the Hills Forward as well last year. So confidence should be pretty high in that Fiesta, and he seems a lot more confident, a lot more relaxed when I've seen him recently than I have on the sort of one-offs that we've seen from the last few years, which is good to see. The battle for the championship, very much the battle for the lead of the rally so far, though, here. Sam Touzle comes here, 5th overall in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship standings. And he was 10th overall on last year's Manx, but he's done a bit since then. And from 10th on your first visit to the island to winning it would be some feat, wouldn't it? Let's not put any curses on him on the second stage of 18. A long way to go. Another man who knows how to put a rally car around the Isle of Man in quick fashion. Steve Simpson, Mark Glenister alongside. Rounding off the top 10 in the championship standings coming here. 6th overall on last year's Manx. That was 10th overall to start the season on the East Riding stages in East Yorkshire. Seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? In that Tudor glass martini-ish liveried Rally 2 Fiesta. It is perfect weather for a big push here on the island, and I think we could just see some giant-killing performances from the two-wheel drive cars this weekend as well, particularly here on day one. But we'll come to that. Gareth Mimner, Byron McCartney in the Fiesta Rally 2 didn't have a good run on their last visit to the Isle of Man. 2023 was chalked up as a DNF for them. We'll be looking for more this weekend. Clearly, wandering around the service area last night, as I did when we first arrived, I can fly in, so it was nice and fresh when I arrived compared to previous years when I've arrived on the overnight boat, for example. But there was a real feeling that we could get some real giant-killing performances throughout the field this year. And as I said earlier, it's one of the most competitive fields that we've ever seen here on the Manx. It is one of the most exciting entries, and we've really been looking forward to this in the build-up. And I know a lot of you have as well. Talking to, in the last few rallies we've been at, a number of people about how excited they've been. Not least this man, actually, Philip Hopkins, Sammy Allen. Oh, I'll tell you what, you don't want to be slinging that Mitsubishi at the curb like that, do you? But it looked good, didn't it? Started the 2024 campaign on the Manx, did Phil Hopkins. This year, though, had a bit of a warm-up, as I mentioned earlier, at the Dukeries rally a couple of weeks ago at Donaldson Park. I did have a joke with Philip in the service area yesterday, and I said, it was hardly a shakedown for the Manx, though, is it? It's not like Druridale, is it? The Craner curves. And he just looked at me without cracking a smile and just said, yeah, but how fast did I go? Fair enough, Phil. You win. Bit of seat time, though, valuable. And, of course, that's what he meant. And there we go. I told you we were going to have some fast two-wheel drive challenges here and that's one of them. Hugh James, Lewis Sim alongside. 16th overall in the championship standings, leading the new look class structure, Class C. He was 13th overall on last year's Manx Rally. Giant killing. See what I mean? Started the season with a class win on the East Riding stages. 16th overall in that Escort. And another man who, talking to him in service yesterday, was nicely fired up and I'd say quietly confident. Hello to Donna Preston, who's joined us on the live stream, is actually right ahead of me, stood on the hedge, watching the action. Of course, one of the championship organisers from last year, alongside Paul Morris. As you see, John Stone, Kirsty Duke alongside for this weekend in the Polo R5 GTI. Nice line from them. Retired in 2024 due to feeling unwell, Laura Marshall, who was in with John. Paul Wakely, Tracy Downs to continue what I was just saying about championship organisers taking over the mantle to lead the championship this season. Behind the scenes, a lot of work gone in to build on the great work done in recent years. This Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship back to being one of the top championships in Europe, and as a result you're seeing the entries like we have on this weekend's Proflex Manx Rally. As we head into the second stage then, about 20 minutes in, we will very shortly be getting 30-second intervals, and we'll be getting the leading crews back through the anti-lag on Wayne Sisson's Evo. Very aggressive, isn't it? Very aggressive indeed. Another man looking for a strong result here, though. And someone who knows this island pretty well, actually. No stranger to a good result either. Kia Beaton alongside. They actually had a bit of a rough ride on the 2024 event, though, super rallying, and ended up 85th overall. And here you go, a man who we're all looking forward to seeing through a few shakedown events after bringing that Rally 2 Fiesta out for the first time on the Hills Ford stages last season, but switching from that Escort that we had a huge crash in here down by the dam on last year's Manx, breaking his arm in the process. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan will now be looking to get the speed bolted onto the bit of seat time that they've had in that car. Very casual, very laid back about his expectations on the East Riding stages. Didn't get a chance to chat to Brad. I've got his team opposite me. Neville just on the hedge checking the times as I speak. I'm hoping we'll be able to get a bit of a feel for how Brad was feeling going into this one, but certainly as far as social media was concerned, both Brad and Jamie looked like they were ready for this. 9th overall to start the season on the East Riding stages. Again, a competitive entry for that one, so not a bad way to start things and get a bit of confidence ahead of this, the big one. And of course, the first time back here for Brad since terrible accident last year. 6-time Asphalt champion Damien Cole. Rodri Evans back then in the C3 Rally 2. Not a good record on the Manx for the former champion, but he was third in 2010, 2012 and 2013. And as he's been very clear to point out, he is building his confidence back, having decided he's coming back for a full campaign here in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. Damien, the competitor we're excited to have back, and we just need to see him building his confidence, and his speed will come with that. We should start to get the stage time. I'm struggling for stage times coming through on the live audit here, as you will see. Maybe one of the last times that we see local stuntman two-wheel stuntman. Now there's Steve Colley, Joseph Dooley alongside in the Evo 9. That car's actually for sale. And nicely sideways around this hairpin, around the bail towards the finish, didn't he? So Brad Cole then, Jamie Vaughan alongside 20th fastest with a 3:25.1 through this second stage of the day. Not the pace that he'll be looking for, but nevertheless, as I mentioned, jumping from the Escort and coming back here to the scene of the accident, needs to build his confidence and his speed, and was 16th fastest through the first stage actually, so coming here in a Rally 2 car compared to a Mark II will be like just starting again. You've got to bear that in mind. There's a man that a lot of you have been looking forward to seeing. The car looks a little wider, but just as wild as it always has. Martin Jones, Leon Williams alongside. Only did the Cambrian last year, but Martin, I think producer Wayne will confirm if I'm right on this, still has the record of being on most viral video on social media of the Nova on the Isle of Man. What year would that have been? 2012, 13? Absolutely throwing the Nova around, and turned out when he got to the end of the stage, half the steering was connected basically using ratchet straps because the lower arm had snapped. Actually, I should mention that Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg, reported something wrong with the car on shakedown. They'd actually broken a anti-roll bar mount at the back of the car, so that was fixed. Lucky to have found that on the shakedown. I suppose that is the point of having a shakedown stage. Max Bradshaw.
Second.
Max Bradshaw and Liam Whiteley. A DNF from them last time we saw them in the Evo 9 in Class C2 in 2023. It was a engine failure, cutting their day short. So, as you can see from the live coverage on your screen, Neil Roskell back in the stage with Rob Fagg alongside. We've got that live camera bolted inside the Rally 2 Fiesta. Second place, 1.9 seconds off the lead, and you'll get a view of exactly how much he wants to overhaul and get himself into a leading position. George Collister, Ian Postlethwaite throwing that BMW at the scenery there, weren't they? And lovely and sideways out onto, after the 90, right onto this straight towards the camera. That's it. Bit of a Scandi from Collister, that's what we like to see. Scandinavian flick into this hairpin around the bail and into the flying finish of this second stage, 3.5 miles, and they'll repeat that again for stage 3. We should actually get some in-car coverage with Roskell, I would have thought, from stage 4. So if we do, we'll keep an eye on our streams here in the studio, and we will actually drop you into the car with Roskell and Fagg through the stage after this one as well. But right now you're watching them through stage 3 for their second run through this second stage of the day, the Paul Varsh stage. So the excitement still exists here in the Isle of Man for these rallies. The appetite is still here. The local radio buzzing with excitement this morning while I was having breakfast in the hotel. That is a lovely looking and sounding car, isn't it? Just listen to that. Rob Smith, Alan Cook in the E30 M3 in the HC class. They were 17th overall, 4th in the class on last year's Manx rally. John Stone, Kirsty Duke then at the moment 20th overall, setting the 19th quickest time, just ahead of just over a second ahead of Brad Cole and Jamie Vaughan through this stage. Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg look like they are really on it through here. 1.9 seconds the difference then. We'll be watching for that stage time dropping through. Damien Cole, Rodri Evans, 22nd fastest through this stage in the Citroen. I tell you what, if you're Brad Cole and you're just getting used to a Rally 2 Fiesta and you're 2 places ahead of the 6th-time Asphalt Rally champion, 1 place ahead of someone with the experience of John Stone, you'd be pretty happy with that as a start to proceedings, wouldn't you? Something to build on as we go through 2 days of rallying here on the Isle of Man. 18 stages, 120 stage miles, making up the 2025 Proflex Manx Rally. Got a bit of a drag race down here. Mark Kelly and Will Atkins frustrated to be stuck behind that historic BMW of Willenians and Dave Williams, which, by the way, is a glorious looking thing. Retired with a fuel pump issue last year, you may remember. Nice to have him back, but I'm not sure Mark Kelly will agree getting caught behind the BMW. Just showing how quick those historic 2-wheel drive cars can be in these conditions, though, because it wasn't a clear pass opportunity, was it? And on paper, you would have thought it should have been. David Wright, Jane Nichol then. No traffic issues for them. We will get a bit of traffic, I think, through this second run through the stage, because we're slotting our leading crews now in with the rest of the field, and everybody gets a second pass of the stage at a 30-second interval. Does mean we'll get a bit of action for you. It all becomes a little wacky races further down the field. I think we'll have cars everywhere, but it adds to the spectacle. Isn't it nice to be wherever you are watching the Manx Rally, one of the most famous rallies in the world, knowing that we have one of the most competitive entries that we've ever had for the rally, and knowing that there is a fight for the championship, and this is very crucial indeed. Isn't it nice to be a part of that story, wherever you're watching at home, whether you're stage side, whether you're watching back in service or Rally HQ. I'm excited to be part of that story, and I'm sure you are as well. Richard Clues with the most handsome man in rallying, Carl Williamson alongside. Only did Rally Ceredigion in 2024, retired with a gearbox on the Manx. The year before that did Richard Clues. That's the car that Mark Higgins actually used on last year's Rally Ceredigion, the Impreza STI in 14 shape, and 15, I don't know. Carl was telling me about that last weekend at Cadwell Park when he was actually my teammate. Less said about last weekend at Cadwell Park, the better. You saw Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark through as well. So starting to get the times for stage 3 through. If you want to follow the times as well, you can. There's a man I've been looking forward to seeing through, and he didn't disappoint, did he? Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer in the Escort G3. Watch out, because as far as Class C is concerned, that car is going to be mixing things up. Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy as well, talking of mixing things up, not here to score championship points, but as far as the overall leaderboard is concerned, don't rule them out. Wow. David Wright and Jane Nichol are on an absolute charge. They were second fastest through the stage with a 3-minute 12.7 on stage 2. They had a clean run through there, lucky for them with no traffic, a 2:46. That's incredible. 2:46.9. Fastest through the stage so far. Second fastest through. Roscoe back. There's Richard Hill, Patrick Cooper in the RS 1800. So keep a lookout on the screen, because as soon as the cars do make it into the next stage, we will put you on board with Neil and Rob. Car number 1. Mark Kelly, Will Atkins, third fastest through at this stage, but that is a remarkable time from David Wright, Jane Nichol. I almost think they've gone through a field and cut a section of the stage out. What a time that is. And obviously, before we have Sam Toos or Max Freeman through, it's difficult to tell. But it just put them first overall as things stand. No, I think Wayne confirming Martin's position. Davies. Reese Edwards. Retired with fuel pump in 2024, as you see. Rally leader coming into this stage. Sam Toozle. Max Freeman alongside the Jersey driver, hanging it into the hairpin around this bale. Glorious weather. Perfect conditions for a big push. Tell you what, there are some very nice looking rally cars on this weekend's Manx Rally. Hugh Brunton, Richard Crozier then, second time through for them. They crashed out on the season opening East Riding stages in that Rally 2 Evo Fabia. 1 point on the board for starting these riding stages, but they really need to get their championship campaign started here at the second round now, don't they? So I'm just having a look through. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, fourth fastest through this third stage here, the second running of this Paul Varsh stage. S2000 Fabias still look wonderful, don't they? Gary Lease, Sarah Corder alongside. Didn't finish last year's Manx Rally, retired with mechanical issues. Did Gary? Sarah was in the lovely looking Samba, the Talbot Samba that we will see later in the entry. Switching into that S2000 Fabia for this one. And we saw Aaron McLaughlin as well, who was pushing hard in this section of stage that I watched them through, actually. Kicking up the dust in the middle part of this stage. Gordon, Montana Morrison, Charlotte McDowell back for the 2025 campaign. No championship registering so far for them, though, here in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. It'll be interesting to see how they go. With that borne in mind, they were 25th overall, 7th in class on last year's Manx Rally. Hello to Paul Morris, watching with us. Good to have you with us. He's competitor liaison this weekend, so don't mess with the Morris. Our former championship coordinator, of course, here in the Protyre Asphalt Series. Roger Henderson, Tommy Henderson alongside. Tommy, incidentally, was in with Sam Toozle at Cadwell Park for a few stages last weekend. Again, another one with a DNF scored, or chalked up. It's not really a score, is it, for the first round at the East Riding stages. A point on the board for finishing, though. And there is that high revving Satria of Martitona and Aidan Gallagher, which was going so well before retirement last season. We were expecting big things from in 2025 here on the Manx. Right, so David Wright, Jane Nichol are showing us the fastest time through here. That just can't be, I'm afraid. There's no way they did a 2:46.9 through this stage. I mean, they're fast, but that is like going through a field and cutting a section of stage out fast, that is. Which I think, if I'm right in that, and a few of you agree with me, Aaron McLaughlin, Darren Curran was second fastest then on those timesheets, so they'll be the fastest through this stage. A 3:09.9 from them. Sam Toozle just dropping back a little bit, 0.5 of a second back from his first time through the stage. So he found his limit the first time through, really, didn't he? Should still see him in the lead, I think. Yeah, it should. But the gap will have decreased, won't it? Yeah, so at the moment, yeah, David Wright and Jane Nichol have got something gone wrong there, showing us 21.9 seconds in the lead. I mean, they'd love that, and they'll take it all day long. A bit like me with my leaderboard after the first stage at Cadwell last weekend, showing that Julia Perry and me were leading the rally overall. That's one to screenshot, David. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman then, when this irons itself out on the result sheets, will be leading the way, and they'll be 0.7 seconds ahead of Roskell and Fag going into the next stage. Already a thrilling spectacle in those positions alone. Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy coming on strong. Those first couple of stages out of the way, they're now having to claw back some time, but 3.6 seconds back from Roskell and Fag is nothing, is it? After the first 3 stages of the rally. Marty Toner, Aidan Gallagher in 5th at the moment. And there is the glorious looking Darien T90 GTR of Chris Simmons. No ordinary dairy farmer, he said in a quote on the championship news stories on the website. And I sat in that Darien yesterday. You may have seen the photos I posted on social media. You may think, owning a Clan Crusader, I'd be a dab hand at climbing in and out of cars like that, but no. How do they get in there with the helmet in the hands and then actually take them off? I couldn't take my helmet and hands off inside a Mini, so I'm not sure how they're doing it inside those Dariens, but fair play. They are ballistic missiles, and it's had a full rebuild ahead of this season. Took a year out, and he's back, is Chris. He did the Castle Combe stages last year, but that was it. Back in that Darien with a new engine, refreshed gearbox, new paint job, emulating the old Ford Tiger Stripe colours as well, which is interesting. It's an interesting looking machine, and it will be blisteringly quick in these conditions. I said to him yesterday, it is Darien weather. Darien drivers hate it when you say that to them, because it piles the pressure on. Mike English, Andy Robinson then, 30th overall, 8th in class on last year's Manx Rally. Coming here looking for a bit more than that, I am sure. Steve Simpson back through this stage for the second time. If you're just tuning in, we've got the cars coming through this second and third stage of the day at 30-second intervals. The stage running consecutively, and the crews slotting back into the order as they arrive at the arrival control. Simon Hunter, who you're used to seeing in a Corsa Super 1400 Corsa here on the Asphalt events. Howard Pridmore were at Cadwell last weekend and told me they would be here at the Manx, but not competing, supporting Mike English in a service capacity, because Simon has just had his first child, so congratulations, Simon. Those moments are the best. Enjoy them. And it's a great excuse not to be here. One of the best, in fact, as you see Oliver Hopkins and Ian Taylor being hounded down there into the flying finish. Hello to Jane English, cheering on Mike, husband, who you've just seen through this second stage. We'll see him again through stage 3 in a few minutes' time. Hello to Simon Beecham, Grant Williams, asking if that's Bruce Edwards' old T9 Darien. I did wonder that yesterday, I didn't ask actually. Greg Murray, some time from Wright and Nickel. It is, if it's right, isn't it? Definitely something gone wrong there. Fraser Thruston watching in Anguilla in the Caribbean whilst on holiday. That's dedication for you. Richard Slinger, Mark Twynham switching from the Evo 6 Mitsubishi we saw them in last season. So that lovely looking Escort, and then, as happy irony would have it, there is Phil Hopkins chasing them down and just giving them a glimpse in a rearview mirror of what things used to look like last season in that Evo 6. Andy Neal says, cracking day, Gromit lad. Was that a reference to something I said? I'm not sure. Hello to Paul English, Claire Gutteridge, supporting also Lucy this weekend. So at the moment, David Wright, Jay Nichols showing us leading the rally. We're going to count that out for now, and we'll find out where they actually slot in once those times are corrected. But they have been fast so far today, just not quite that fast, I don't think. As you see, John Stone and Kirsty Duke through for the second time in the new Legend Performance Polo R5. I say new, the Polo's not new to them, but the Legend Performance part of that sentence is. Running 3 cars here on the Manx Rally. A new venture from Mr. Stone and his long-time car prep pal and expert Paul McGretton. Wish them all the best with the new business. Certainly seems to have come out of the blocks well. Wayne Sisson, Keir Beaton. Need a point for their championship campaign. Get things started this weekend. Andrew Thomas is watching from Pembroke Dock. Enjoying the coverage. And what a weekend of rallying, he says. All eyes on James Williams for him. See if the team can get the car out for Carlisle stages. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan nipping the handbrake and just a bit of a tyre smoke. Keeping things nice and tight at the hairpin here. Neville Cole makes his way back to service, having seen the car through, and they'll head out. I think they'll go back to service, won't they, from here? Nice to see so many spectators joining us here, and I can see quite a few team jackets as well, so people out here supporting their crews. Not too far from service to come here at the Paul Varsh stage. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman then lead the way. 0.7 of a second between them and Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg in second place. Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy have come on strong. As you see, Chris Woodhouse and Lucy Wilding. Now, it will be interesting, really interesting, to see how this pair fare this weekend in that Fiesta Rally 2. Only a few events under their belts in the Circuit Championship so far in that car, switching from the 208 R2. We're going to put Roskell, as you can see, live from the start of the next stage, which is Toserby, the longest stage of this first leg this morning of the Manx Rally, 7.6 miles. I'll let you watch in the background as we've got that live camera on board. It would be a shame not to use it, wouldn't it? So we'll get you on board right now with Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg. Gordon Cunningham, Stuart McManus in the Evo 9, just almost coming a cropper with the curb there, just taking things ever so wide and deciding against using the handbrake for the hairpin here. Steve Colley, though, is having it, isn't he? Joseph Dooley alongside. Second time has gone round that hairpin, and the second time has been so precisely close to the curb as he heads off to the flying finish of this second stage. I should say third stage, isn't it? Second time through for Steve. So Toserby up next. And you are watching on board with car number 1, second place in the rally by 0.7 of a second. Chris Ford, Neil Coleman, 12th overall in the championship, coming here 11th overall to start the season on the East Riding stages. We'll be looking for a top 10 in that Citroen C3 Rally 2 this weekend. Neil Coleman, an experienced pair of hands alongside. Just wait and see what happens with that time for David Wright and Jay Nicholl. Because we're all pretty sure, aren't we, that it wasn't right, as Martin Jones and Theon Williams come through in the Nova. Spectacular as ever. Max Bradshaw, Liam Wiley, a couple of years since we've seen them here on the Manx. Local crew, good to see them back out in the Evo. It's a busy weekend of rallying then, as a few of you have pointed out. Not only have we got the Proflex Manx Rally Round 2 of the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship today and tomorrow, with live coverage coming your way tonight at 7:30 and then tomorrow 10:15 and 3 o'clock respectively. All these times are on the special stage socials. We've also got the Carlisle stages tomorrow. Nathan Bolton, Phil Kenny, then the second of the cars being run by the Legend Performance team have gone off, as you can see on the screen. Just look like they've caught a curb, perhaps, and broken the steering arm, the wheel pointing in the wrong direction. Oh, that's bitterly disappointing for them here in the second stage. Car number 43, you're seeing that on the top left of your screen. It was a DNF for them on last year's Manx Rally as well. They took a 28th overall result, 14th in class on the East Riding stages, and that news to them. Fiesta Rally 2, it's a 20-plate car, that, but it looks absolutely, or looked absolutely brand new in the service area, thanks to the expert attention given to it by Paul McGretton from Legend Performance. There was a gearbox issue in 2024. I think we'll put that one down to over-exuberance, won't we? We'll find out what happened later, no doubt. So we'll also be live then, Phil Bramwell bringing you coverage of the Carlisle stages for the Pirelli Welsh Rally Championship tomorrow. And then we've got the final round of the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship, which is the opening round of the 2025 Mini Rally Challenge, coming your way on Sunday from the SMC stages at Anglesey. Over 30 minis registered for the opening event. That is going to be some spectacle, and so was that, wasn't it? Local crew, or local driver I should say, Tim Cole, Phil Sandham alongside, will be loving that ride in the BMW E36 Compact, always sideways, always with the revs up. Was 26th overall, 8th in the highly competitive Class D on last year's Manx Rally, and showing us just why there are problems here as well. The marshals already getting in position to help with that BMW M3, which, trying to see who that is. Is it Rob Smith, Alan Cook maybe? There's Dave Willett, John Davies passing without issue. They were super rallying on last year's Manx, coming 100th on the overall leaderboard at the end of the day. We'll be looking for more than that, obviously, this weekend. Just waiting, we still haven't got the time corrected through stage 3 for David Wright and Jane Nichol, have we? So difficult to know where they'll slot into things. The first of the two-wheel drive chargers this weekend then, as we thought it might be. 16th overall, Hugh James, Lewis Sim. Leading class C3 with that result after 3 stages. Rob Smith in the E30 M3 that we can see broken down, because that is Will Onions and Dave Williams. They retired with the fuel pump in 2024, so they'll be pleased it's not them, albeit it's not a nice sight to see, especially somebody in a similar car to you, stopped at the side of the stage as you drive past them. We hope you're enjoying this live coverage inside Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg's Fiesta Rally 2. The ND Civils pair looking for a big result this weekend, and you will see it happening right here in front of your very eyes live, which we're delighted with. Please, that's come off well. We haven't promoted it in advance, just in case. There's Di Roberts, actually, just passing you in the Peugeot 205 GTI. And Di, of course, was in with Neil Roskell's co-driver last season. I love that escort, Andrew Bird. I took a picture of Andrew and Richard's car last night in service. Very atmospheric with the sun coming down. It just looks right, doesn't it? These huge Revolution wheels under those arches with the white and yellow livery. But back to Di Roberts. The last time on the Manx as a driver was in 2022, so it's not that unusual. It was a DNF with oil pressure failure for Di then, but good to have him with us, with Stephen Christian alongside in the 205 GTI. Michael Harbour, Cameron Dunn, their debut in a Fiesta R5, stepping up from one of the fastest escorts you've ever seen in this series. But what a baptism of fire that will be. And he said it himself, no test in the car, not even a quick drive in the car before doing this Manx rally. That is a formidable challenge he's set himself, as you see Richard Clues and Carl Williamson back through for their last time through this stage. Neil Roskell, Rockfag clearing stage 4 then. One more stage to go in the loop for them, and then it's back to service. The question is, nicely sideways there, coming into view as well. Is that Mr. Montana? No, it isn't. Fair play, that was good from Bradley Carroll. Gareth Short, sorry, I saw the grey escort just coming into view sideways and thought it must be Gordon Morrison. Bradley Carroll doing well there. First chance for Bradley to get some points on the board here in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. There is the ever sideways Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer, another man who needs to get some points on the board for the championship in that Escort G3 as well. He's certainly racking up the style points already, even just 3 stages in, isn't he? So, at the moment then, frustration for Nathan Bolton and Phil Kenny. An early retirement with a broken wheel or broken steering or something, having looked like they've maybe caught a curb. The rest of the car looked okay. It didn't look like they'd been off as such. We'll find out more soon, of course. Hello to Emily Innes. Big shout out to her husband and daughter, Ben and Lilia Innes, in car 50. Given number 50 because it is Ben's 50th birthday. Love that. First time driving his Mark 1 Escort. First time with his daughter alongside as well. What a lovely story that is. Tim Jones, yeah, it is a shame for Rob in that M3, isn't it? David Lloyd Thomas says, that's what we want, sunshine for tarmac, keep the rain for gravel. Yeah, I could go with that actually. Keep the just enough rain to dampen the dust down anyway. Jessica Davies, loving seeing Di through this stage. Go Di. Michelle Petrie's watching in service in the sunshine. It's glorious in service, isn't it, Michelle? They do ice creams there. Just ask Val Thompson. George Sherman, Claire Mole then alongside. Interesting pairing. They'll be heading out to Rally Barbados after this. See Gary Lees and Sarah Cool all just deciding that they'd bump up the curb slowly so as not to damage anything in that S2000 Fabia, and just overcooking the hairpin a little bit there. Be frustrated to have done that in front of the spectators. Looked like he had a bit of red mist chasing that Fiesta Rally 2 down. So George Sherman with the Tide sponsorship on the side of the car, reminding me of the old days of Thunder days. Does most of his rally in the Barbados Rally Championship. He's from the USA, hence the sponsorship. This is his first Manx. Welcome to the Isle of Man, George. Claire knows this place pretty well, though. Gwyneth Evans, Robbie Head, Mats Anderson, Ewan Thorburn, Steve Perez, Louise Aitken-Walker, etc. All on her rally driver CV with people she has co-driven for. Former ladies Scottish champion, there's Mike Simpson, and Sam Weller in the historic RS 1800, a DNF at the first round, the East Riding stages. They'll be looking to put that right here at round 2 at the Manx Rally. Alan Wellesby, Dan Parsons alongside him. They were 20th overall, 8th in Class E to start the season. There's Gordon Morrison. There he is, and he was just as sideways, so I was almost right to mistake Bradley Carroll for him, wasn't I? A grey Escort going sideways with Protyre stickers on the front. You'll forgive me that one, won't you? Back to Claire Mole, one of my absolute heroes in rallying, and the fact that she's still out there and still doing the business is fantastic. Looking forward to seeing her in Barbados as well, but for now it is all about the Manx. George Sherman's first visit to the Manx, probably the furthest, no, not the furthest travel. I'm forgetting our Japanese friends. Roger and Tommy Henderson got to grips with that hairpin a lot better through the second run through, didn't they, here on stage 3. Get back to some times very shortly. I'm just enjoying watching the action. I think we should keep Neil Roskell's in-car up, producer Wayne. When he gets to the next stage, we'll probably still be live. I think when we get to the end of the first loop. Let's have a look, see if those times have corrected. Still no correction of that time for David Wright and Jane Nichol. And we're waiting for Suzel's time to drop in. Kevin McLaughlin, Neil Brogan in the Civic. Their only rally outside of Ireland, except the Poker Stars in 2021 when they won the class and came 15th overall in that Civic. And we know how well Civics go here on the island. Just ask Mark Higgins. It's still my favourite video on the internet, the Brandywell Cottage stage, talking us through Calm As You Like, flat out through Druidale and Brandywell Cottage. That's where we're going tonight, isn't it, Wayne? Tomorrow. I knew we were going to Brandywell. Wouldn't be a trip to the Manx Rally without going to Brandywell Cottage. Hello to Tim Waters, watching along with us, enjoying the coverage, but wishing he was here. Yeah, I can imagine that. Very lucky to be here. Feel very privileged to be able to do this. Wow. Nicely sideways indeed from Anthony Allery, Richard Bonner. They were 20th overall. No, they weren't. They were 21st overall, 9th in the class to start the season at the East Riding Stages. They didn't finish this event last year, though, so they need to correct that. They're only 3 points behind Wellesby in the championship as well. And that is some sunbeam, isn't it? I had a quick glance around that in service yesterday. Such a machine. Rodney White, Ashley Trimble alongside. Again, another experienced co-driver on these lanes. Usually he does Irish events, did the Manx in 2016, I think it was the last time, and there was a DNF for him on that. Love the sound of all the revs heading down the road towards me on the Manx Rally stage. There's just something about it. Nothing else really gets close. Jake Smith, Dave Tortoshell, second season of rallying, first Manx Rally. Good luck, Jake. Dave's been here before, I think. They come here third place in Class C in the championship. They were 22nd overall, fifth in Class C to start the season at East Riding Stages. And there's John Morgan with Linus Jones-Edwards alongside in the RS 1800. Good result for them on last year's Manx. Fifth in the historic rally car register cruise. Got a miss. Was that a misfire or just doesn't like being at low revs? Probably the latter of the two there for Chris Simmons and the Darien making it through the second running of this stage. Hello to Jake Briggs, managed to get a bit of free time at work just in time to watch Phil Sandham in car 45, wishing he was here in this weather. This is a good place to be in any weather, but I agree, it is glorious when the weather is like this. And we are set to get some rain tomorrow, which could mix things up a little. So as soon as Tuzel's time drops through, I haven't got it yet on my timesheets, I will give you an update from the fourth stage. As you see, local man Sean Kelly, Jack Collett alongside in the Evo 9 has appeared on the coverage here on special stage on the Manx Rallies, number of years running. Mike English then, just managing to keep the Rally 2 Fiesta from stalling there. Nice, neat and tidy. And that is 3 stages done to the flying finish. Right, so the times have been corrected. Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy. Producer Wayne, that was your tip, wasn't it? You thought he'd be quick today. Late entry from Jennings and Kennedy, and they are leading the way. 4 seconds as well ahead of Sam Touzle, Max Freeman, who did lead after the first 2 stages of the day. First 3 stages of the day, in fact. Touzle and Freeman were leading 0.7 of a second ahead of Neil Roskell. Thank you to Dennis Sanford Casey, one of the men behind last weekend's Alan Healy Memorial Rally at Cadwell Park. And what a success that was for the Border Motor Club team. Just confirming that indeed I just noticed that actually the times have been corrected. Ryan Fagan, Keegan Rees, first time in the Fiesta R5, switching from the Civic that we saw him in 2024. It is his first Manx, and he's with the Legend Performance team. As you see, Oliver Hopkins, sorry. Through with Ian Taylor in the Mirage. When you saw them on the Hills Ford in 2024, it was a DNF in that Mitsubishi, so it's good to see them back out here on the Manx. So Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg then dropping back to 3rd at the moment. As you see, John Terre, Robert Turton heading to the flying finish in their Mitsubishi. So Roskell and Fagg then just 0.3 of a second back from Sam Touzle, Max Freeman. So they've been concentrating on the Jerseyman and just hauling him in. And as far as the championship is concerned, that's first and second place, because of course Jennings is not registered for the championship. So this will be one of those moments where, as you're planning the rest of the event, they'll get to service and they'll figure out what they're doing. But their fight isn't for the overall win. As much as he would like a win, he has had a win here on the Isle of Man before, has Roskell, 2022. So isn't gunning for that necessarily. He needs the championship points. As you see, Richard Slinger and Mark Twynham finishing this 3rd stage. We saw how much it meant to James Williams last year, didn't we, winning the Manx Rally. Winning any rally outright is special, but winning the Manx Rally with the entry it always attracts, and the profile and the history that go along with it, is something very special indeed. And I don't think Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg will have a problem at all putting that out of their mind and aiming for maximum championship points. And that's what they came here for this weekend. 3-time the bridesmaid, 3-time runner-up here in the championship. He wants this to be his year. You can see it, and I've never seen it so clearly with Roskell. Kyle Casement, local driver, 42nd overall in the championship at the moment, had a DNF on the first round of the East Riding stages. It was a long way to come for a DNF as well. As you see, Christian Davies and Ethan Shadrovsky in the Proto Fiesta, who also took a DNF at the opening round. But for Kyle Casement and Martin Burns, it was a DNF on last year's Manx Rally as well. So they need that to be improved on here in 2025. That will be really important for their championship hopes. Backfiring from that Escort, I could feel that through my shoes. Chris Berry, Lucy Gutteridge alongside in the Mark II. He was 47th overall, 2nd in class on last year's Manx. So Roskell on the start line then. We are going to bring you, I'm pleased to say, in car from this final stage of the loop this morning. Let's see how Neil Roskell chasing down Sam Touzle, 0.3 of a second behind going into this 5th stage of the day. This is the NAB stage, which is 3.2 miles this morning. It becomes 8.4 miles as Abbeylands this afternoon. It'll head your way 9 o'clock this evening. If you're following the results, we'll be live in Balladool from just before 7:30. Again, 2 runs. It's a similar stage to this, but the flying finish is a little further on around the corner. And we'll be doing interviews. We're mixing stage end and action this weekend, but you will still get action this evening, I'm pleased to say. Just a different view of the action, and we get a bit of a feel for it from the competitors as well. Chris Woodhouse, Lucy Wilding, didn't see how they'd got on earlier, so I've just been concentrating on the times dropping through at the top as we're following that championship battle. But I will, in a moment, just quick look back. Roger Duckworth, Ian Windrus with 13th. overall after the second stage. It's a good run from them. Neil Matthews, Daniel Petrie. Daniel, give me Sunday name there. In the Proton Satria / Persona. Wasn't the Persona the one with the boot? Or am I making things up? But they're hedging their bets either way on the entry list. But a great looking car. Took a year out in 2024. I'll tell you what, Neil's last visit to the Isle of Man was 2009, which I think was my first visit to the Isle of Man, actually, because I bought my rally car in 2009 from Reg Berry down in Port St Mary. I heard Reg wasn't very well, so I hope he's okay. So yes, a hell of a long time ago. It doesn't feel that long ago, I've got to say. Just looking down. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan, 17th at the moment, a place ahead of John Stone. Sorry, I'm looking at a stage earlier. That's after stage 2, isn't it? Let's have a look after stage 3. That's going to be more telling, isn't it? There's Mark Constantine, Andrew Constantine alongside, not registered for points here in the Protyre, but here to see what they can do on this formidable leaderboard. Gordon Montana Morrison, to give him his full name, Charlotte McDowell, to give her full name, are the first two-wheel drive car on the leaderboard after these first 3 stages, after leaving here at Paul Varsh, ahead of Hugh James and Lewis Sim. What are they ahead? 3.2 seconds the gap as well, so all to play for two-wheel drive honours. We'll have We'll have a crass rundown, I'm sure of that. But we'll have a class rundown as well in a short while. But just keeping on top of the overall results for these 30-second intervals is taking all of my flickable finger ability. Excuse that expression. Chris Rice, Gareth Price. First time out, we've seen them since 2022. Registered for points here. And I've been looking forward to this. Always has a lot to say, this Chris, when it comes to rallying. Online anyway. Let's see if he can do his talking in a rally car this weekend. Darrell Taylor has got Cat Lund alongside. Didn't finish the Manx rally in 2024. It was radiator issues. But didn't join us for the opening round, the East Riding stages, so needs to get some points on the board. Oh, he did join us for the East Riding stages, didn't he? Oh, I don't know. I'll check that one later. I'll double check that one. Mark Holmes, sideways as ever through this hairpin. Mark Perryman alongside. Good to see Mark earlier on and say, well, yesterday it says I drove through service. Currently second in the HC category in the championship standings, Mark. Came 29th overall, 7th in the class here on last year's Manx Rally. We obviously saw him in his Metro 6R4 at the Hills Ford stages. Tim Cole with the locals, egging him on into the hairpin there. Was bound to give us a display, wasn't he? And he does. That thing just screams, doesn't it? I was looking to see how... So, Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan down in 22nd overall. Behind them, Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer, just 0.1 of a second behind as well. And Cole has got Steve Colley and Joseph Dooley for company up front, 2.6 seconds up the road. That's doable, and little gaps like that, little margins like that to claw back is the way you make your way back up the leaderboard and the way you get used to driving a car and pick your speed up as well, so that'll be a good marker for him. Berwin Evans, Dan Jones in the great-looking black Escort with the blue stripes, nice and sideways to it. And there's Dave Willett back through for the second time. Josh Jones wishing luck to car 16, car 116. There's old man in car 117. Keep it on the road. That is a good place to start. I agree, Josh. John Stevens remembers balancing a Darien on his head in 2013. What does that mean? Any idea? Ashley Fields, Darien, why are we balancing on your head? It's an interesting comment. Needs some explanation, I think. To Helena Mail. Jill Simister, she's cheering on the very sideways Mark Holmes. You'll have enjoyed that final corner of the stage there. And Josh Dallymore cheering on Tim Cole. Smash it like your windscreen, he says. It's an interesting one. Tony Shields, Barry Ford, local driver in the AH3 class. Mark II Escort there. I was looking for Chris Woodhouse, wasn't I? See how he was getting on. First time on a rally like this in that Rally 2 car. 41st overall with Lucy Wilding alongside after 3 stages. Take some time to get used to things, won't it? So the time's coming through then for stage 5, but so far, hang on, car 1 shows us a penalty for an early arrival at stage 5. That's a finish arrival. Why has he got an early arrival penalty there? Let's hope that's a mistake. We don't want this rally to be decided by penalties. Neil Roscoe and Red Flag definitely don't want that. Gary Jennings, as we know, then Rory Kennedy were fastest through the 4th stage. As you see, Gerard O'Brien and John Liston through. First rally for them outside of Ireland as well. Quite a few Irish competitors joining us here on the Proflex Manx Rally in 2025. The second fastest through the 4th stage, the stage after this one, was Roskell. He was just under 8 seconds slower though than Gary Jennings, who has really come on strong in that Fiesta. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman were 3rd fastest, 0.4 of a second back from Roskell through stage 4. We seem to have lost David Wright and Jane Nichol altogether from this. Oh no, we haven't, sorry. That's my eyes not flicking correctly. 5th fastest through 4 was Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark. They're getting used to that Rally 2 Yaris, aren't they, as the miles go on, which I guess is how it goes. But a 3-time champion, a 5-time winner here on the Manx. He's got a long way to go. 18 stages, to remind you, 120 stage miles in total. 5 of those stages will have been eaten up by this morning's loop. Another 5 to go this evening, albeit the stages changed around. And with additional mileage, the last 2 in the loop over double their mileage this morning. With extra mileage added on. Great work by the organisers. Unless I've missed them, we do seem to be missing Clint Eade and Tom Murphy. Local crew, Max Murray, Matty Owen joined us at the first round, the East Riding stages. They were 27th overall, 10th in class in the DS3 R3 Turbo. They should go well here. I'll tell you what, you don't want to get any closer to the wall than Bradley Carroll and Gareth Short. They have been sideways every point that I've seen them on the screen. And that was some ride there, wasn't it? That was about as close as we've seen to the curb here. Dave Sutcliffe, Rick alongside in the 325i BMW, was sideways as well through the part of the stage before where Luke Leonard is filming. So that penalty for Neil Roskell has disappeared from the timing screens, so hopefully that was a mistake and has been scrubbed. Sam Toozle And Max Freeman seemed to have disappeared from... Oh no, it's just waiting for them to come through because we can't see what's going on in stage 5, and obviously we had Neil's in-car, but... Yeah, Sue Fossey just confirming my thoughts, something weird going on with penalties for early arrival on stage 5. It says stage finish for me, which seems odd. Hopefully they'll be corrected soon. They're not showing at the minute, so I think probably have been corrected. And did I speak too soon? Is that Dave Sutcliffe down there parked up as well? It looks like a BMW car meet down there, doesn't it, on the straight, just down from where our final camera position is. Just waiting for Toozle and Freeman to drop their time in for stage 5, and then I'll give you a bit of a rundown of the leaderboard. But it is nice and close. Just one loop of the 4 we've got to look forward to this weekend, complete here on the Proflex Manx Rally. Jeff Roberts with Ben Wild alongside in the RS 1800, just flicking that Escort into the final hairpin here, and down to the flying finish. It is Dave Sutcliffe sat down there, isn't it? Mike Simpson, Sam Weller complete their second run through this stage. They then head to stage 4 up next. Those penalties are still continuing to drop through, aren't they? Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy were blisteringly quick through stage 5. That is actually ominous pace for anyway around. Not as ominous as the pace we saw with the errant time from David Wright earlier, but now that's been corrected. Jennings is just as ominous. Sharp intake of breath there, and the spectators are loving the action from Alan Wellesby with Dan Parsons alongside on their first Manx rally, and getting their money's worth out of the tarmac, I would say. It's a lovely smell of hot tyres wafting over to the studio van where I'm positioned here at the end of stage 3. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark were actually the second fastest so far of the times coming in so far for stage 5. That's interesting. Those two are on a charge now, aren't they? Currently showing as 3rd overall, but we haven't got Toozle's time in yet, have we? Just waiting. Last time we got him is for Hugh Brunton and Richard Crozier, which is a 2:56.2, of a second back from Mark Kelly and Will Atkins. So Hugh's coming on strong as well. We should be awarding style points down here, because between Alan Wellesby and Anthony Allery, they'll be taking the lion's share. Anthony actually only 3 points behind Wellesby in the championship. So the fight very much on there, and I think they're both vying for those style points that I mentioned as well. Very entertaining driving around here, boys. Have we got time for Toozle? I want to see this time drop through, because Toozle, who started this rally in the lead, currently hasn't posted a time for stage 5, but we have got a time for Steve Wood and Hugh Brunton behind him. And Aaron McLaughlin. That is such a nice sight. An unarched Mark 1. Ben Innes, Lily Innes, driving his first rally. Been co-driving since 1998, including, of course, you may remember being Sean Gardner's BTRDA Gold Star title-winning co-driver in 2006. Wow, does that seem a long time ago? Was it 2006? Can't be in 2006. And Gardner won 2012 or 13, wasn't it? Either way, Ben Innes on his 50th birthday doing a rally in his Mark 1 on the Manx with Dorset Lilliot alongside. What a lovely story that is. Running a little bit out of road order, so I was a little worried. I kept it quiet. I didn't want to startle anybody. I was a bit worried that they hadn't made it this far, but they have. Through stage 3. Through stage... Yeah, they'll be through stage 3 at that one. Still no time on the board. And the Sam 2 is the Max Freeman. As the style points here continue at Paul Varsh, John Morgan and Linus Jones-Edwards in the RS 1800, entertaining the spectators. There's a... looks like a queue. It looks like they're queuing for something on the stone wall above their heads. It's quite funny to look at, actually. I know you can't see that from where you're looking. I'm not close enough to Sam to get him to point the camera over, but it does look like they're all queuing for something, stood on the hedge, watching the action here. If you're just tuning in, welcome to our live coverage on special stage of the 2025 ProFlex Manx Rally. It is the second round of the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. And their channeling his inner Conor McRae in more ways than one. His local man, Tommy Maxwell, Sam McMullen alongside in the rear-wheel drive focus. Despite being a local, it is his first Manx. And like many others on this second and third stage here at Paul Varsh, is get his money's worth out of the tarmac and using as much of it as possible. Hello to Darren Spooner from Spooks Motorsport, running a couple of the cars this weekend. Just turned out here to the hairpin just to watch his cars through. And we'll be heading back to service with the other crews, ready to get the cars fettled and ready for another hard afternoon of rallying. It's a great looking 205 GTI that the local crew, Michael Savino, Liam McCann alongside, didn't finish the rally, had mechanical issues in 2024 in that 205 GTI, so we'll be looking to make amends there. Motorsport UK queuing for lunch at the drive-through on top of the hedge. Yeah, agreed, and agreeing with us, it's a beautiful day for a rally. Hello to those of you watching on Motorsport UK TV. We are delighted to be going live and working with Motorsport UK TV to give you previews of all of the headline rallies happening this year. Once again, it's a great channel, lots of varied content on there, not just rallying but off-road racing, circuit racing, drag racing, it's all on there. John Robert Turton through for the final time through this stage for the morning loop. It'll be a slightly different stage when we get to the afternoon loop, and we'll be at the stage end to remind you, if you weren't here when we were talking about our plans earlier. I would aim to be tuning in from just after 7 o'clock this evening. We'll be live around 7:30 for the two Ballador stages, and we'll bring you reaction from our crews as well as action in the stage, and hopefully we'll still have our live coverage from inside at car number 1, the car chasing after the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship title this season. The car, of course, is the ND Civils Rally 2 Fiesta. The driver, Neil Roskell, the co-driver, Rob Fagan, will put you live in the car again this afternoon. As you see Carl Casement, Martin Burns, the drive shafts and the diff just crying out in anguish there as he flicks that little C2 into the hairpin. Christian Davies almost got it wrong. He was right up on his haunches, getting the car stopped for the hairpin there as well. Kyle Casement, though, will be really keen to get himself a finish here this weekend. Didn't finish last year, also came all the way to the East Yorkshire season opener, and chalked up a DNF there as well. Chris Berry, Lucy Gutteridge through to complete their third stage of the day. We still haven't got any times. I don't know if you guys are having any better luck with this than me right now, but yeah, Sam has cleared the stage as far as the tracker is concerned, but no time coming up for him just yet. So those leaderboard updates we'll just have to hang fire for a moment. As you see, another local crew, Stephen Conn, Tad Delaney. I have done the Manx once before in 2023. They were 5th in class that year. BMW 1M looks like it's ready for business, doesn't it? As does the little Opel Adam of Luke Constantine. Ivan Devine alongside. Luke was 41st overall on the season opening East Riding stages after having Super Rally, but just getting used to the car. It won't be long before he's on the pace, and he'll be hoping that that is this weekend. Still no time from Sam Touzle, Max Freeman. Why is that taking its time to drop through? I wonder. Fairly crucial as well. I do love that. I saw that from a distance in service last night. Didn't get close enough to take a pic. Harry Stubbs and Emma Clark in the Escort. Still with its Escort gear. Leather cloth roof. Perfect combination for a Mark II gear, that. Silver with a black leather cloth roof. I had a roof like that on my my Mark II gear, which had a Pinto, a Sierra 5-speed gearbox many years ago. That one got magically turned into an engagement ring, as they so often do. Indicator on for John McCulloch. Rachel McCulloch alongside, and spectators absolutely loving that lockup from Liam Kelleher and Maury Williams in the Civic. A waft of tyre smoke heading over this way. The Civic driver leaving it as lay as you like. 150 cars started the 2025 Manx Rally. That, as well as the quality and the competition on the entry, is a remarkable number. Neil Matthews throwing that little Proton around. It's a really well prepared car that probably doesn't look it from a distance on your cameras, being you're watching on your screen, with it being sort of primer grey. I'm sure he'd say it's Nardi grey or something. Is it Nardi? But it is a really well prepped car. It does look very nice. Alison confirming that, yes, Sam is through stage 5, but no time appearing on the timesheets. Here's the car that I always love to see here. Usually takes my car of the rally. And he's throwing it around as well. Late braking. Nice waft of tyre smoke from the Escort Cosworth. David Crane. Janet Crane alongside, local pair. Love to see them out in that. David's had some interesting cars as well over the years. MG Maestros, Astra GTs, Mark II Golf GTIs, and Escort Cosworth is a staple of the Manx Rally. Goodness me, would I love to be rallying an Escort Cosworth. I think it has to be my ultimate. Mark Constantine, Andrew alongside in the Corsa, coming through to finish stage 3 while we still await time. Did we see George Sherman through the book in the time? We must have done. We've got time on the board here. There's Chris Rice again, Gareth Price alongside. Hugh Hunter coming on strong, actually. Just 0.2 of a second behind Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark, just quietly going about his business with all-time co-driving partner Andy Marchbank back alongside. Mark Holmes still enjoying himself, throwing that Escort around. Still waiting for that Rally 2 of George Sherman to drop through, aren't we? With Claire Mole alongside. We'll look out for that. Still only got a time through from the second stage. If producer Wayne can check the tracker to see if George Sherman is still running. As you see, a glorious AE86 of George Hayway and Tim Curry through to start his second stage. So George Sherman is pulled over in the stage, hence we haven't seen him through yet. Berwyn Evans, Daniel Jones, only 70th overall, but 15th in the class in that Escort. Neil Matthews put a 3:36, taking just under 2 seconds out of his time in stage 2 through this third stage here at Paul Vash, with Dan Pinktree alongside. Anthony Elks and Alex Lewis there coming through for their first time through. First time we've seen that glorious looking Corsa kit car. They were 7th in the class, 89th overall. After the first stage this morning, the Kerristal stage. Tony Shields. Barry Ford then did a 3:53.3 through the second stage. His 81st fastest time, but it was good enough for 4th in class AH3. What can they do through this third stage? We'll see that time drop through in just a second. Jake Clegg, Gavin Clegg alongside. A class podium position coming into this second stage of the day. Very little, just a slight breeze, very little wind. Though you can hear the engine notes. Carried over from quite near the beginning of the stage, actually. Gerard O'Brien, John Liston did a 4:11.7 through here, first time through, putting them 10th in the class. I am, though, still waiting for that time for Sam Tuzel. Such a good looking car, that, isn't it? David and Grace Pedley. They were 15th in the British Historic Cruise on last year's Manx, 59th overall in that glorious Castrol Mark II. I'm still not seeing a time though from the Jerseyman who led this rally for the first 2 stages. He has cleared stage 5, Sam Touzle, but still no time on the board. Gary Jennings though, it is fairly safe to say, is leading this rally overall, regardless of what time that is, because he has come on ever so strong in the last couple of stages to be leading by 10.9 seconds after stage 5 from Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark getting to grips with that Yaris Rally 2 now. Don't forget, this is without Touzle's time. We don't know where he'll slot in just yet. I'm suspecting slots in between the ND Civils Rally 2 Fiesta and that NRG North Road Garage Yaris Rally 2. With Pritchard 7.1 back at the moment from Neil Roskell. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank just 2 seconds back from Pritchard at the moment in 4th. But that's a podium position for the championship. Again, notwithstanding we are missing Sam Touzle's time at the moment from this leaderboard. Has cleared the stage, not sure what's going on there. Then comes David Wright with Jane Nichol alongside. At the moment, 5th. 0.6 of a second off Hugh Hunter and Andy Marchbank. It is hellishly close in the top 10 at the moment. 4.7 back, Mark Kelly, Will Atkins, Gareth Mimner, Barry McCartney in the other Rally 2 Fiesta, 1.5 seconds back in 7th. Then it's Aaron McLaughlin, Cal McCarthy and Hugh Brunton at the moment rounding out the top 10. We are still waiting. Still waiting for that time from Sam Touzle. Also waiting for a time from Gordon Morrison as well to see what the 2-wheel drive fight is doing. It was 3 or so seconds, wasn't it, between he and Hugh James. Hugh James at the moment, the first 2-wheel drive crew with a time on the board. 0.8 of a second back, actually, interestingly. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan in the Rally 2 Fiesta, having stepped up from an escort that last year would have been direct competition in the class for Hugh James. They're getting on the pace in that new Rally 2 of theirs. Howling brakes, and they were pretty overcooked, weren't they, into this hairpin from local crew Tristan Cooley and Andrew Dudgeon. Tristan's last rally was actually Chris Kelly Memorial here in the Isle of Man in 2018. You may remember from our coverage he crashed in Saxo. Right, Sam Touzle now has a time through, I'm pleased to say, and he was 2nd fastest. Through stage 5, which does put him 2nd overall in the rally. Still very much in the fight, little Suzuki Swift in its works colours, beeping away at the spectators. Keelan Beattie, Amelia Leach alongside. It was a DNF chalked up for them on last year's Manx Rally. They will be another crew looking for a finish here. This weekend. Craig Smith messaging me to say I'm sure their inbox will be in the post. Who I've been particularly kind about though. That perhaps hasn't warranted it, I don't know. Wow, Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy then. 8.9 seconds ahead of Sam Touzle and Max Freeman, who would like to have thought, I'm sure, that they would be up in this fight. But having come 10th on their first Manx Rally last year and coming here relatively inexperienced compared to the crews around them, I'm sure would have taken that at the end of the first loop of stages if you had offered it to them yesterday, when they were no doubt a little nervous about how this weekend would go. These are fast stages. This is one heck of a battle, and right now Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg are just 2 seconds back from it. That's the battle for the championship. If Gary Jennings and Rory Kennedy stomp away in front, doesn't really change an awful lot, certainly not as far as the championship is concerned, and I can't imagine Neil Roskell minding too much about that. Sam Toosle, on the other hand, has not got a Manx victory under his belt, and I'm sure while the going is good, he'll be pushing ever so hard, so some entertainment to come, I think, from those 3 up in front. Neil Jones, Alan Thomas there in the Mark II. But Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, probably the biggest surprise of this morning, because having started on a fairly mediocre, if I may say, pace on the first stage, into stage 2, picked up the pieces, and stage 3, 4 and 5 has just got quicker and quicker, and he's now 7.1 seconds. That's less than the gap between first and second, back from the podium positions overall in the event. But he's on the podium as far as the championship registered crews are concerned. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank, just 2 seconds back as well. Ben Innes, the straight cut gearbox in that lovely Mark I, singing away. What a birthday present that is. What a way to turn 50. Bryn Jones with Brian Jones alongside. 3rd season of rallying, only done single venue rallies until now. This is his first Manx, and so far, I've got to say, looks like it's going well for him. Some of our crews reached the end of the first loop of stages. Meanwhile, some haven't even done stage 2 yet. 150 crews on this entry. It is going to be busy here this weekend on the Isle of Man with rally traffic, and that is the best kind of rally traffic as well. Dave Sutcliffe, Rick Sutcliffe, just to answer the question from Lee Jordan. You can see them parked up down there behind Rob Smith's BMW. 2 BMWs parked up together. It's like a BMW car meet. Are they the Compomotive THs on that Focus? Martini liveried, McRae-ish. Car, they look good either way. Being driven very sideways as well. Maxwell is a very sideways name over here on this island. Hello to you if you're just tuning in. The good news is, if you wanted to catch some of the earlier cars on the entry, you can do that by watching this coverage. It stays live on the page, and you can actually, if you're watching on YouTube or on specialstage.tv, you can actually scroll back while we're live as well. That is a car I took a picture of in service last night. It is so bright. Dan Davies, James Hood, their last Manx 2018 was a DNF, and they will be looking for more than that this weekend. The car certainly looks the business. Will it do the business for them? That is the question. As you see, Michael Savino and Liam McCann, another crew who retired on their last visit here, albeit it was more recently, last year. In fact, in a really good-looking Peugeot 205 GTI. So have we lost? No, I was going to say, have we lost Gordon Morrison? We haven't yet got his time through from 5, that's all. Yes, he was leading the 2-wheel drive fight, wasn't he? Look at that. Isn't that a sight to behold? Driven properly as well. It was almost... Harry Hockley sat there for a minute, wasn't it? It is a replica of the Harry Hockley car from the year in 1986 that both he and Colin McRae were in the Works Novas. After I posted pictures of that car last night, there were some wonderful memories being shared by you guys on socials, so thank you for that. But Aidan Jackson and Jared Gill, mostly Irish events, did the Manx Trophy Rally in 2004. didn't finish that, but they were there with that glorious Nova last night in service, and I had a good look around that. There's a funny picture actually of, I think it's Aidan, no, it won't be Aidan, I think it's maybe Jared, pulling a face as I'm taking a picture, but what a glorious car, and so well built as well. In fact, Matt Edwards, who's the other half, of course, is Jess Hockley, or Jess Edwards as it now is, was saying that he was going to point out and show Harry the picture. He said no doubt he'll be impressed. But a lovely looking Nova, well prepped, and we like Works replicas. There are a couple of Works replicas from 86 here. Kenneth Ericsson's 86 Group A Championship winning Golf is replicated here actually as well. We'll see that shortly. The first of the R53 Mini Rally Challenge cars then, opting to do Kevin Jeffrey, Melanie Capel alongside, who is Bonnie Papa's mum. And Kevin is the reason that Bonnie got into rallying here on the Isle of Man, as she put on her socials earlier. So she's delighted to be in the service area, not competing this weekend, Bonnie, but supporting her mum along with Kevin. But the car looks fantastic in its flipped colour scheme. But the first of the two R53 Mini Cooper S's that you're going to see from the Mini Rally Challenge, opting, as you see, Lee Pratt and Ben Forrester into the final chicane, or hairpin round Bale to the finish. Yeah, there's two minis opting to do this as opposed to the first round of the Mini Rally Challenge at the SMC stages. I love that. I love that. Silver Mark II of Harry Stubbs. And I can only imagine that, I mean, Jack Birch is the one, he's the junior champion, the R50 champion in the Mini Rally Challenge from 2024. I can only assume that they got the bug so badly here in the Isle of Man when the minis came over last season that they put it down as an event they were definitely doing whatever the outcome this year, and it's not part of the championship this season, but they'll join the Mini Rally Challenge after the SMC stages this weekend at Anglesey. But great to see the minis out here, and it'll be interesting to see how Jack gets on actually. Anne-Marie Old asking if we've got any coverage on stage 4 and 5. No, I'm afraid not. We did have in-car live from Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg, but no. That Civic is definitely being driven to entertain the spectators, because that ain't the fastest way around that hairpin. But Liam Kelleher, Moy Williams really don't seem to care. They took a third in class on their last visit here, so I'm not sure they'll be too bothered about that actually. No, we're going to be live again for Balladool. I forgot my plan then in my own head. The two Balladool stages, which is stages 7 and 8 this evening, will be live just before 7:30 for the two runs through there. As you see the Escort Cosworth of David and Janet Crane. Again, just locking its brakes into the hairpin here, pushing that Escort hard this weekend. Bit of a class rundown for you in just a sec. As you see, Ben Hardy and Daniel Long retired last year as an axle issue, but they took a top 20 overall result in the Ormco Account Stages Rally at Derby last year here in the Isle of Man, so no stranger to a good result here. Class AH1 is being taken care of as we speak by Shane Gamble. Had a bit of a drama to find a co-driver. I've forgotten the name of the co-driver who's got on board, but it's not on the entry list because Laura Marshall was down on the entry list until short notice. Julia Perry appeared on there at one point actually. And I think Kev Bulver had helped secure a co-driver for Shane. So well done, Kev. Joe Merrill's Mark Brew through in the Civic, their first Manx, their first multi-venue rally altogether actually. Stephen Higgins, Chris Hayes behind in the similar Mini Cooper. Those cars looked awesome last night in service. Just over 10 seconds separating the pair after just the first stage so far. We'll see them shortly in this second and third stage of the day. Class AH2 is being led. We just have to pause just briefly to appreciate the brilliance that is Danny Cowell and Phil Boyle in that Samba rally. Reigning Cap 4 British Historic Rally champions as well. being run by Myerscough College students this weekend, I believe. I saw them stickering up the car yesterday, put the numbers on. Sarah Jane Cool was in the Gary Lees this weekend. Was out in the car last year and had an absolute ball, as is George Hayway in that AE86 Corolla. So Mark Holmes leads the way in Class AH2. Mark Perryman alongside Ben Innes, Lilia Innes on his 50th birthday. First rally as a driver, first rally with his daughter alongside as well in second place at the moment. Aidan Jackson and Jared Gill, you saw them through just now in that glorious Harry Hockley replica Nova. They are third in that class. And coming into this stage, Danny Cowell, you just saw him in the Samba, was just behind. AH3 has been led by John Morgan, Linus Jones-Edwards in the RS 1800. Mike Simpson, Sam Weller just behind. Coming into this stage, there's a rally car I love to see. Mark III Astra, Michael McKenna, Mark Wagstaff taking care of things there. Had Harry Walshaw alongside last time he did the Manx in 2023. And you just knew that we were going to get that courser through on the bar, didn't we? Anthony Oakes, Alex Lewis, chucking it in deep and grabbing hold of that handbrake lever. Lovely stuff. Yeah, Jeff Roberts, Ben Wild, third in AH3 currently. AH4 in the historics. Richard Hill, Patrick Cooper, they were going well earlier when we saw them, weren't they? In the RS 1800, leading the way there. Williams, Dave Williams behind in the E30 M3. And we've lost Rob Smith, who is parked just in camera shot down from the ahead from the 90 right that you see the cars coming into shot on. Class C1 is taken up by the overall leaderboard, so it's Jennings, Toozle, Roskell in that order, and that is honestly one of the most beautifully prepared cars you've ever seen. Roger Holder, Yvonne Walton alongside. Lovely little Civic, and we know how well they go here. So C1, hotly contested. C10, the only competitor in that road rally class, Harry Stubbs and Emma Clark at the moment. They're going well relative to those around them on the leaderboard. The fight very much against the clock and against themselves this weekend though. Philip Jones, Andrew Richards stalling the car here on the hairpin. It's fired back up and it's off. It's always a problem, it's always a worry when you stall when the engine's hot. Will it start again straight away? Last year, first season of rallying for Philip, and he had engine failure on this rally last year, so of course we'll be hoping for that. For more than that, sorry, not for that. Carrying on with a little rundown of the class. Philip Hopkins, Sammy Allen lead the way in C2 from Steve Colley and Joseph Dooley. Perhaps Steve Colley wasn't quite so sideways everywhere. He might just have a chance of regaining those 5.6 seconds separating them, but I don't suppose he's too bothered about that with 3 loops of stages to go and an awful long way here on the Manx Rally. Max Bradshaw, Liam Whiteley in third place at the moment, not far behind either. Farrell gap then back to Wayne Sisson. Richard Clues not far behind him, and a little big gap back to Oliver Hopkins. We know that the BMWs go well here. Kex Walker and Danny Matthews have shown us that over the years, and there seem to be more of them than ever here on the island. Another local crew, Alexander Horton, Gabriel Christian, Grossu. They were 13th in class, 58th overall on last year's Manx Rally. It's their second ever rally this weekend. Their first, last year's Manx. So Gordon Morrison, the fastest of the two-wheel drive cars at this stage, with Charlotte McDowell alongside, is exactly 2 seconds ahead of his closest rival in the two-wheel drive category, and indeed in the C3 class. Hugh James, Lewis Sim, the old B11 Escort class. Montana, James, and then Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer in third place in the Escort G3 that has been as entertaining as ever. Not far off 10 seconds back in the class. Martin Jones Cleon Williams lead the way in Class C6 in the Nova. Alan Wellesby, Dan Parsons and Anthony Allery in that order, which is exactly the order they appear in the championship as well. Just 4 seconds or so between them here in second and third in the class. Neil Matthews, Dan Petrie not far back, but that was coming into this stage. We still need into the next stage, sorry. We do need the times from 5 in order to confirm some of these. I'm just giving you a rundown of where things currently sit. Just do bear in mind that crews are out doing stages, and it will not be all-encompassing. That Evo needs to be getting out of the way. All I could hear was the hard charging M3 there. So Rob Smith has got that car going. Just Dave Sutcliffe now sat down at the side of the road, so that fettling by the side of the road, he will take a stage maximum for this one, but Rob Smith and Alan Cook are now back in the rally under their own steam as well, having fixed whatever the problem was by the side of the road, because that sounded on song, didn't it? There's a crew who were excited to be here, showing their Peugeot 205 rally off to people on the boat the other day. There was a bit of a car meet going on the boat when Mark Young and Joe Young came across. Sorry, it's a GTI, isn't it? Not a rally. It's the colour scheme on it makes it look like a rally at the back with the arches. First multi-venue rally for the pair. First Manx as well, obviously. Where did we get to in the classes? C8, Kevin McLaughlin and Neil Brogan leading the way from Carl Casement and Martin Burns, who are going well. They'll be looking forward to giving a big push on the next few. Bit of a fight going on in that class, although at the moment the gap bigger than Kyle would like it. Alex Kirkwillie, Sasha Herriot in third place in the class. Di Roberts not far behind in the 205 GTI, chasing the podium in the class. Richard Paul, Kevin Eichen came 15th in Class D, 67th overall on last year's Manx Rally in that E36 M3. We've been looking forward to this one as well. Mark Constantine, Andrew Constantine lead the way in C9 in the Corsa. There's another Corsa behind. Connor Blyton, Colin Farmer alongside as well. And then Andrew Foster, Chloe Percival in third place, completing an all Corsa lockout at the head of Class C9. In fact, it's all Corsas and Vauxhalls right through that class as well. It's a fab sounding car, this. 208 R2, the car that Chris Woodhouse and Lucy Wilding swapped for their, I say swapped, loosely speaking, poetically speaking, for the Rally 2 Fiesta. Gary Ollerenshaw, Sean Rowlands alongside. He arrived in this stage 14th in the class, 109th on the overall leaderboard. Amazing entry for this year's Manx Rally. 150 cars taking on the 2 days. The 18 stages taking in some of the most iconic places here on the Isle of Man when it comes to rallying. Druidale, Brandywell, Ingebrigtsen. We got it all. Over 118, almost 120 stage miles. And one of the most blockbuster entries we've ever seen. And we've been doing this a long time now. We're live with you for stages 7 and 8 this evening. It'll be just before 7:30, and then we'll will be live tomorrow as well for both loops of stages. And what a lot of live rally coverage you've got for your Saturday. Not only live here, but also Phil Bramwell live with the other team over at the Killikielder Forest Complex for the Carlisle Stages Rally. So tomorrow we're live for stage 12 at 10:15, stage 18 at 3 o'clock. We're going to be mixing stage action as you've had this morning with stage end this afternoon. Or this evening, I should say. So we'll get some reaction from our drivers as well. Good-looking Subaru there of Andy Darlington and Josh Jones. Is that Arwell Parry and Leston Williams? I can see. I'm just trying to make out who I can see on the live stream. Yeah, it is. Arwell Parry stopped a little way back in this stage, but next up we've got the fantastic-looking Avenger, which I took a picture of last night, and Miv Owen and Baz Green have taken a year out last year. The last visit was actually here to the Isle of Man was actually 2017 for the Poker Stars, and they came 11th in class, 27th overall, but this Avenger, as you can see it coming into your second shot now, is just such a glorious rally car. It honestly looks the business, and they have always been so underrated, I personally think. Fantastic looking, sounding and performing rally cars, especially in the right hands. Andrew Foster, Chloe Percival in the Corsa, the Manx, the only multi-venue rally that Andrew's ever done. Didn't finish last year's though. We'll be looking for a finish here this weekend. I should say, by the way, that I've just heard coming into the stage this morning that Steve Ryder is retiring from the sport. Somebody who has inspired me and many others to go into this career. My era of the Top Gear Rally Report shows was the Steve Ryder era. I came in just at the end of William Woolard. Wasn't really old enough to remember that, but Steve Ryder with Tony Mason out in the stage on the stage side reports was Top Gear Rally Report for me. Obviously, we've seen a lot of him in touring car coverage since, but for me, Steve Ryder will always be Top Gear Rally Report in the 90s. And although I don't know Steve personally, I do wish him all the very best and thank him for the inspiration he's given to me and no doubt many others with his success as a commentator and studio presenter in our sport. Enjoy your retirement, Steve. George Merrill's Colin Blunt did their last Manx rally in 2023. They didn't finish it either in that Civic Type R. You know, those Civics must be so much fun on these lanes. I really want to come out here. I've always said this since 2009 when I came out for the first time to buy my first rally car and drove it back and blew the engine up from it. I always said I want to just come out here and just do a holiday. Well, Aidan took a little time to come back round to us, didn't he, in that Nova? I'm not sure, Aidan Jackson, what's gone on there. Let's have a quick look at the... if I can. The time was pretty decent for stage 2, so I'm not sure what the hold-up's been there, but certainly running further back on the road through this third stage, Aidan Jackson and Jared Gill in the the Harry Hockley replica Nova. Which one? Oh, and the Mini of Kevin Jeffrey and Melanie Capel, who we were just talking about, has actually stopped in the stage. Along with Arwell Parry. Not sure whether it's... No, it has definitely stopped. Ryan Wilding, Will Carlisle then. Lots of support out there on the live stream for this pair, doing their first Manx in that Nova. And if you didn't know better from a distance, you'd confuse them with Martin Jones, wouldn't you? But it'll be a while before they're driving as wildly as Martin in their blue Nova, that is for sure. David Dalton promising that the RX-8 is going to be here on the Isle of Man with us this next year. That will be interesting, won't it? For those of you wondering what's happened to Dave Sutcliffe, we're not actually sure. Just pulled up by the side of the stage down there, that's all I know. Lee Pratt and Ben Forrester in that Civic. Honestly, with his spotlights bolted on ahead of tonight's stages, just looks the business. It's the second of the Mini Rally Challenge competitors. Gareth Humphries, Aaron Mallin didn't manage to get a picture of him last night in Scrutineering. I was looking for the mini step pictures of. They were second in the Mini Rally Challenge here on last year's Manx Rally, 14th in the class, 66th overall. Had a bit of a crash on the East Riding stages. In the rally car, hire car. Zach Edwards, Adam Burkill in the Nova. Looking forward to this weekend. According to their socials, I was actually with Adam's parents at the Motorist on Wednesday night for the first of their motor club evenings, which are going to be a regular fixture. So if you're in the Yorkshire region, do look out for those. It's organised by York Motor Club. We saw De Lacey Motor Club, Ilkley Motor Club and Melbourne Raceway, among other local motorsport organisations there to represent grassroots motorsport. And there were plenty of people on hand to talk about getting into the sport. And I believe people were signing up as marshals as well and joining clubs on the evening, which is fantastic. But Roger Adams' dad is looking at doing some tabletops, and I'm looking forward to supporting those if they go ahead. And if you can, you should do also, because we need more of that. Edward Collins, Luke Palmer in the Civic. A bit of experience under his belt since we last saw him, because the Manx Rally in 2024 was Luke's first ever rally. What a rally to do as your first ever one. He was fourth in class as well, 73rd overall. My engine blew up about 300 yards into my first rally. I know, history repeats itself sometimes. Joe Merrill's Mark Brew, 15th in the class. Coming into this third stage, it was a 3:58.7 from them. Not that they're in the same class, but interestingly, just under a second faster than the Samba Rally of Danny Cowell and Phil Boyle. Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg posted a 7th fastest time through stage 5. Really didn't have a good run through there, did they? Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, on the other hand, have been going great guns. Stephen Higgins, Chris Hees in the first of the historic minis you're about to see. And looking round switches between Saab 96s and this Mini Cooper S. The Mini has been the weapon of choice for the Manx, though, lately. Crashed his 2-stroke Saab on the track rod. Very sadly, but I believe it is going through a rebuild. Local man, always good to see him out in the historic cars over here. And there's Anthony Jevons and Margaret Kelly. registered for the championship but looking to get some more points on the board. They come here 5th place in the championship standings for Class F, 28th overall. Super rallying though last year it didn't go that well, except they were in a historic car and they were 2nd in H1, 2nd in Cat 1 despite having to super rally. Not bad going. An 8th overall in class, sorry, an 8th in class, a 36th overall score to start proceedings at the East Riding stages was a good place to start and build from in that Fiesta R2, but we're expecting more from them today. I think Michael McKenna, Mark Wagstaff come through in the Mark III Astra, almost in its works colours, to finish the 3rd stage of the day. Whale of a RC40 exhaust and a straight cut gearbox on a Mini gives it away that Shane Gamble is coming into view. Shane rallied an Escort Cosworth in 1996 at the back end of the Group A Turbo era. Did a Poker Stars in the Mini back in 2021 but didn't finish, so we'll be looking for more from today. And Roger Holder is clearly getting the hang of that Civic. And the smell of hot sticky rubber burning away before our very eyes here on this hairpin is hanging in the air. It just smells of hot tyre here. So one thing we can't bring you on this live coverage is the way it smells. And I suppose you can only get a part of the vibe and the atmosphere, can't you? But there's plenty of that. The way this smells is part of the attraction. So we're working really hard to bring you Scratch and Sniff. Live Rally TV, watch this space. We've got live in-car cameras now on closed road rallies, which is pretty exciting. I think we can both agree. And you'll be able to watch again live in-car. We'll put you in the best seat in the house, or at the moment, the 3rd best seat in the house as far as the leaderboard is concerned, with Neil Roskell and Rob Fagg again for this evening's stages. Martin Williams, Martin Allwood came 3rd in the Mini Rally Challenge here on the Manx in 2024, 18th in the class. And another crew deciding that the Manx was definitely going on their rally calendar, even though it is the first round of the Mini Rally Challenge this weekend, with the SMC stages at Anglesey on Sunday. I suppose is there a hope? No, there's no hope of getting cars back in between. You'd never do it. Just try and work it out then. You'd be, as a spectator, you could probably just about do both. But getting the car back would be almost impossible. Philip Jones, Andrew Richards in the Escort there. Mentioned earlier, but they had engine failure on the Manx last year, which was in their first season of rallying. Things have picked up since then, though. Nicely done from Dave Teasdale and Rob Foster. Took a fair few years out of the sport. Their first rally since 2008 was the recent Agbo stages at Weston Park. This is their first Manx. That's a car I love to see here. Just looks so good, don't they? And I do wonder where all the Cupra Cup cars went. Remember all of the Seat Cupra Cup? All in the Seat Lime Green? Where did all those go? For the meanwhile, Greg Pye, local man with Ken Cotty alongside, will hold up Seat Ibiza Honours. A suspension failure in 2024 and a DNF is something he'll be hoping to avoid on this year's event, obviously. For the local man, Grant Scotch, Jack James, Milcrease alongside. I think this is actually Grant's first ever stage rally. Couldn't quite confirm that, but he's done a fair bit of Targa and some road rallying previously. But if there are any local fans watching who know something or two about his history, do let me know. You see Jack Birch Jr. champion in the Mini Rally Challenge in the stage. We'll see from him shortly at this final location here on the stage in just a moment or two. Tony Webb, Sophie Buckland there in the Swift. Tony was in the Mini Rally Challenge on last year's Manx Rally, came 6th on their leaderboard as well. And speaking of the Mini Rally Challenge, here is Jack. Always wears his customary cowboy hat, his Stetson, although obviously not right now while he's in a rally car. Mike Jode alongside, who did the junior championship with Jack and sat with him as junior Mini Rally champions as well. And there's Peter Harris and Nigel Morris. Taken a couple of years out. I did the Chris Kelly in the Manx in 2022 and actually took a podium in the class on the Manx as well. And he's back in that 106. I think that's a former cup car. I couldn't see. Was it a BKV registration? Couldn't quite see as it came past us here. Fairly sure it's a former cup car. Not that really matters to you, but it matters to me. I'm a rally car nerd. Interestingly, Jack Birch had a gearbox failure on the 2024 Manx, which probably explains why he's here. Instead of at the first round of the Mini Rally Challenge, he wanted to come back and tame this most iconic and formidable of rallies. Now that is something I'm so excited to see. Ian Clare, who had Lucy Wilding alongside, you may remember, on last year's rally before they unfortunately retired with engine failure on that A-Series, absolutely gutted. Catherine Price alongside for this year in that Wolseley Hornet, and what a great looking car it is. Mark and Joe Young there in their equally smart looking Peugeot 205 GTI. The quality of cars, and we've said this a lot in recent months, but years probably, but the quality just gets better and better right down the field. You know, when I was a kid, you go see a rally and you get to sort of the 100s in a rally like this, and do you know, it was, the quality of the cars just dropped as you got through. As you see Richard Poole and Kevin Aiken laying a bit more rubber down at this final hairpin. People driving to work on Monday morning will have no doubt whatsoever that they're driving on the route of the Manx Rally, given all of the tyre marks on these hairpins. But yeah, you got down to this level of the entry list, and the preparation on the cars was visibly and obviously of a very much lower standard. Now, it's just not the case. Gary Oller and Sean Rowlands, and I'm not talking about the cost of preparation, because, you know, this is an expensive sport. There's no two ways about that. There are more accessible ways in, and we talk about those all the time. But the preparation of the cars doesn't always come down to money. It comes down to attention to detail. It comes down to time and effort and planning, and not just sticking a switch on top of the dashboard when you can actually make a switch panel and put it. Just the quality of preparation of cars. And I think that's been driven in part by Motorsport UK and the changes they've brought, because if you're spending a lot of money on seats and belts, the rest of the car has to follow suit as well. As you see Ashley Lewandowski, Thomas Henry Ackers alongside, doing their first ever rally here on the Isle of Man and the Nova. What a rally to do for your first ever rally. But yeah, I think if you're spending that money on safety kit, which you have to do, then you're inclined to spend a bit more on the car generally, because you don't want the seats to be worth more than the car, do you? And so we're seeing the preparation go up and up and up, and I think Motorsport UK really can take some of the credit for that. And it is part of the vision as well, to be honest, but it is a sight to behold. If you do find yourself at one of these rallies, if you are here this weekend, indeed, for the Manx, have a little wander, go to the grandstand in Douglas and have a wander in, and firstly sample the atmosphere, because it's stunning, and just think about the history that's there as well. We're not only rallying but the TT, and then have a look around at some of the cars closer up, because some of the cars don't look a lot from a distance, you find are absolutely glorious. Avenger, not a very good example, because it's glorious both from a distance and up close. We're going to see a second Avenger as well, which I'm looking forward to seeing out. Ian Robertson and Andy Scott swapping seats in car 148. Look out for that very shortly. Their last visit to the Isle of Man was the 2017 Isle of Man Historic. There's a DNF for them there, though. Dan Halpin watching from Ireland, enjoying the coverage. Good to have you watching. Russell Thompson watching as well. Hello to you, mate. He was here with the Mini Rally Challenge, weren't you, last year? Marianne Clegg wishing good luck to her boy Jake, with Uncle Gavin alongside. They've been going well so far as well. I'll give you a leaderboard update very shortly. We're just coming to the end of this entry. I want to make the most of seeing these glorious cars on these iconic stages and this beautiful sunny Isle of Man weather, because as you all well know by now, we always strive to bring you the whole entry. We can't always, depending on timings and other things that crop up, but where we can, we do. And that's very much the plan this weekend. We've planned our itinerary around bringing you as many rally cars and as much action as we possibly can. There's always a bit of a trade-off and a bit of a balance, especially where we have to do stage end, because in our book, a bit of stage end is fine, but too much stage end and at the expense of action on the stage is not a good thing. So we always have that balance to try and keep, but also the balance of, for the championship, wanting to show podium celebrations at the end of the event. Luckily, our sponsors are very aligned with our vision for rally coverage, and they want you to see as many rally cars and as much action as possible, and enjoy watching what the sport is all about. And so we can't make it back for the podium celebrations tomorrow, which our sponsors and the championship organisers, Paul Wakely and Tracy Downs, are okay with, because they know we'll be out here on the stage bringing you more action as a result, because we know you'd rather see 150 cars, give or take, through the final stage tomorrow than you would like to see 3 or 4 interviews and a bit of talking from the grandstand in Douglas, and then that's it, lights out, we'll see you next time. Because we're rally fans like you. So that just explains why we've arrived at the itinerary we have, and why we're on the stages that we are. Channeling their inner Alistair McRae, their local crew, Terry Phillips with Mark Leese alongside in the C10 class Golf. Mark III Golf GTIs don't get used enough on stage rallies. Seeing a few more of them crop up on Targas and road rallies. They're still sort of cheap enough as well. But gone are the days when, it doesn't seem that long ago, we're probably talking 15 years though, when you could pick one up for like £1,000. Slightly less rusty than their counterparts, so, and actually slightly less rust issues with the Mark IIIs than the Mark IVs and 5s that came after them, which I never quite understood, but I suppose you could point to Ford for doing a few of those anomalies over the years, couldn't you? Mark Johnson, Stephen Butler. I'm really getting nerdy now. In the Clio, started their 24 season with the Manx, but this season it is not their first rodeo. Shinobu Kitani then, with Hiroko Kitani alongside. One H1, one Category 1 was 11th in the overall HRCR category on last year's Manx Rally, which of course included the British Historic Rally Championship. Reigning HRCR Rally Masters B2 class champion as well. Joining us from Japan. And it's great to have them with us. Their first rally was the Tudor Webasto Historic Manx Rally in 1989 with Tetsuya Aiko alongside, and they came 7th overall as well. There's Paul Taylor, local pair in there, Austin Mini Cooper S, Gemma Taylor alongside. And they're the second running through the stage for Ryan Wilding and Will Carlisle in the Nova. Likewise for the more modern BMW Mini with Gareth Humphreys. Slight break on the stage action then. Let's just remind you, if you've only just tuned in, you know we're fighting for a championship this weekend. We're only 2 rounds into the Motorsport UK Protyre Asphalt Rally Championship. I say it in any order I like these days, clearly. But we're already seeing a championship fight emerge. And Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg come here, wanting so badly to make sure they're on their way to the title this season, having become 3-time runner-up and a third place before that here in this, the UK's premier and one of Europe's top Asphalt Rally Championships. Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy, a late entry, but no surprise to see them leading the way. Perhaps Producer Wayne had him down as one of his tips for going well this weekend. 8.9 seconds ahead of Sam Touzle, Max Freeman, who are fighting for the championship but also have not won a Manx rally before. Neil Roskell has, and there's the difference. Neil might not be pushing for the overall victory if he knows he's taking maximum points. I've got a feeling, a sneaking suspicion that I know for a fact Sam Touzle will want both, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that he would take more risk than Neil for that reason. Jack Edwards, Adam Burkle through again in the Nova. And there's Louise Thomas with Ross Dawson alongside in the Mini. Taken a few years out, has Louise. Local driver. Last rally was the 2021 Poker Star. She was 5th in Class B1, 70th overall. Great to see her back out and in that historic Mini as well. So it's Jennings, Touzle and Mr. Roskell. I'm not allowed to call him just Roskell anymore. Dawn told me. He doesn't like it. I might slip up every now and again, Dawn. So just, you know, apologise to him on my behalf. Ian Robertson, Andy Scott in that Avenger that I mentioned. Last trip to the Isle of Man was the 2017 Rally Isle of Man. Historic. Registered for championship points this season in the Protyre, and we'll be looking for at least a finish and some, hopefully, a haul of points as well to go with it. I'll get to the rest of the leaderboard in a minute, but I can't stop talking about rally cars when I can see rally cars, so... Edward Collins, Luke Palmer back through for their second running, so completing their third stage of the day here. And there's the Golf I was talking about earlier. Took a picture of that last night in service. It's such a lovely looking piece of kit. Robert Jones, Tony Archer. His rally career started with the 1995 Phillips Tour of Mull, when there would have been cars like that Golf in action. This is his first Manx, though. It's a replica of the 1986 Kenneth Eriksson car. And it's the car that won, I suppose, the first of the last of the Group A's before it became the top WRC category, isn't it? 1986, when Group B was disbanded as a category, Group A took over, and in that handover period, Kenneth Eriksson took the Group A title in WRC with a Golf that looked very much like that one. Last car on the entry for its first run through this stage, Osamu Sumida, sorry about that, Osamu Sumida with Kohai Kusaka alongside the second of our Japanese crews in his Austin Mini Mark 1. An interesting array of rally cars actually back in Japan. Spent equal time last season in the Subaru Legacy on the rally of Sumagoi in East Japan, coming third in the open class, and a Toyota Yaris GR, believe it or not, in the Rally Highland Masters. Sounds like it's a rally run by Hero ERA, doesn't it, in Scotland, but it's not. It's run in Japan. Second in class as well as doing the Manx in a Mini last season with us. So an interesting array of rally cars at his disposal, both here and over in his home country, Japan. Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy lead the way then. Sam Touzle, Max Freeman, second place at the moment. 8.9 seconds back. Neil Roskell, Rob Fack in third at the moment. 2 seconds back from that. The championship fight at the moment. First and second championship registered crews, Touzle and Roskell. Then it's David Wright, Jane Nichol. Not far behind, 4.5 back off the overall podium. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark just dropping back, 2.6 back. As you see, Shane Gamble back through for a second running of this Paul Var stage and completing stage 3. After Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark in the Yaris Rally 2, it's Marty Toner, Aidan Gallagher in the Proton Satria. Told you they would be hard charging this weekend. They just need the reliability to go with it in that screamer of a Proton Satria, the former S2000 Proton which looks and sounds so good. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank, straight on the pace as well this weekend in 7th overall, 0.2 of a second back from the Satria. And it's Mark Kelly, Will Atkins filling, well, not quite filling Hugh Hunter's mirrors, 5.3 seconds back. Gareth Mimner, Barry McCarney in the Rally 2 Fiesta, 1.5 back in 9th. Then Aaron McLaughlin rounds off the top 10 in the Polo, 4 seconds back. It is a fast top 10. It is an all-star entry this weekend on the Manx Rally. Round 2 of the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. And you can tell just how hot the entry is by how far back on the overall entry our two-wheel drive competitors are. And at the moment, just looking down, Rodney White, Ashley Trimble are leading the way. No, they're not, sorry, Lee Edwards. I missed one. I'm looking at the class leaderboard, apologies. 17th overall, Gordon Morrison, isn't he, in our championship registered crews, the first of the two-wheel drive cars. I'm pleased we cleared that up. Just behind him, though, 2 seconds behind on the overall leaderboard and in the C3 class, and for two-wheel drive honours here in the Protyre Championship, Hugh James, Lewis Sim. Behind them, Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan as well, starting to get on the pace in that Fiesta. And I say that because he's ahead of some big names on the entry list, not least 6-time Asphalt champion Damien Cole and experienced competitor in this series in the Legend Performance VW Polo R5, John Stone, who has a new co-driver alongside in the form of Kirsty Duke, who I believe was in with Steve Colley previously. He's further up the leaderboard in 20th at the moment with Joseph Dooley alongside, interestingly. Richard Hill, Patrick Cooper in the historic RS 1832nd overall, leading the historics at the minute, though. And we've got plenty more action to bring you here from the very sunny and very beautiful and iconic, I can use that word confidently, in a place like this, Isle of Man, from the 2025 Proflex Manx Rally. To remind you, we'll be live again this evening. We'll have stages 7 and 8 Balladoor for you, and we'll be at the stage end, so we'll have action from in the stage just like this afternoon, but we'll also have some reaction from our crews as well, right through the order. That starts at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you put it in your calendars, grab a drink or two, put yourself in front of the telly and enjoy some live rally action from one of the world's most historic and iconic rallies, the Manx, this evening at 7:30. Then tomorrow we'll be back with you live. Stage 12 comes your way at 10:15, stage 18 at 3 o'clock. And we'll have some iconic, again, locations, including Brandywell Cottage and Druidale for you tomorrow. And don't forget, tomorrow is when you can also catch coverage with Phil Bramall of the Carlisle stages. The Pirelli Welsh Rally Championship heads to Carlisle, a little bit out of locality, but some creativity from both Colin Heppenstall and his team to put the Carlisle stages together, and also from Bryn Mawr Pierce, the new championship organiser of the Welsh Series, to get the competitors and the championship out of the starting blocks in Kielder. You can catch coverage from 9:15 with Philip Bramall, and the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship comes to its conclusion with the first round of the Mini Rally Challenge as well on Sunday at the SMC stages at Anglesey Circuit. Stages 1 and 2 coming your way from 9 a.m. There we go. That's a nice way to end, isn't it? Dave Sutcliffe having sat there with that poorly stricken BMW. Rob Smith likewise at the start of the stage. Both of those cars now repaired at the start of the stage and now running and leaving under their own steam. Great news for them and great news for us, because it's 2 more cars, very sideways cars, we get to watch as we go through this epic two-day Manx Rally. Nearly 120 stage miles, 2 days, 18 stages. Some of the most formidable locations anywhere in world rallying. And places that have been the maker and breaker of heroes over the years. And it all lies ahead. The first leg is done then. Our crew's heading back to service, although some still heading into stages 4 and 5. And you can continue to follow the results at rallies.info. Oh no, we've got a very poorly sounding A series on that Mini. Gutted. Hopefully it's not engine for the second year running for that Wolseley Hornet of Ian Clare. I've even written on my notes, gutted, next to last year's result. I know how engine failure feels after last weekend, and I'll be gutted for them if they've gone out in that Hornet for the second year running so early on. Hello to Michael Crane, cheering on David and Janet in the Escort Cosworth, as was I. A car and a crew I love to see out. And they were driving it well. Tyre smoke under braking, pushing it into this hairpin here. Nathan Shaw confirming that the Golf of Terry Phillips and Mark Lees, the Mark III I was talking about earlier, used to be an ex-challenge car. Used to have the Lucasade livery on the side of it. I'd like to see a picture of that. If you've got a picture of that, please post it, Nathan, or tag me in it or something. I would like to see that. And Ryan Edmonds, delighted that Dave Sutcliffe has managed to get running. As are we. And here's the ex-challenge Golf that we were just talking about there. I really want to see this with the Lucasade livery. I don't think I saw that back in the day. I often talk about where do all the challenge cars go, whether it's 205s, well, I think we know where they all went, whether it's the Swifts or the Cupras, as I was talking about earlier, the Ibiza Cupra Cup cars. But if you're wondering where all of the Mark III Golf challenge cars went, it's not a challenge I think of immediately when I think of one make series, I've got to say. Well, there's one of them. Local Manx driver Terry Phillips, Mark Lees alongside. Decent position last year, 8th in class. Just looking to see what times they've done through here. 4:29, taking 1.6 seconds out of themselves. Coming through this third stage, second time through Paul Vache. Still 5 or 6 cars yet to complete stage 3, so a little bit of action left, which we'll stay with here in this third stage of the day. There's Mark Johnson and Stephen Butler. Came into this stage 19th in Class C6. A 4:35 from them. We brought you the overall leaderboard then. Gary Jennings leading the way, but as far as the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship is concerned, Sam Toozle is really doing the business there. Class AH1 will be confirmed once we've got these minis through this third stage, but coming into this, nicely done. Coming into this, that was Shinobu Kitani, Hiroko Kitani alongside in the Austin Mini Cooper S, Mark 1. That Wolseley Hornet is running again, and does sound a little tappety, but an A-Series can do, but there's a lot of oil coming out of it, according to what I can hear the marshals shouting. But Shane Gamble led Class A H1 coming into this third stage, heads off into 4 and 5, hoping to keep that lead. Ian Clare, Catherine Price behind, then Stephen Higgins, Chris Hees. But Ian Clare and Catherine Price, as you can see, are currently sat at the side of the stage with their Wolseley Hornet. Hopefully they'll be going further than this, because I don't want to say it's the last time we see that beautiful little car out, and rare at that. Class AH2, Mark Holmes, Mark Perryman lead the way from Ben Innes and Lilia Innes. Danny Cowell, Phil Boyle after 3 stages into the podium in that class. Long way to go though. AH3, John Morgan, Linus Jones-Edwards leads the way in the RS 1800. Jeff Roberts, Ben Wild in a similar escort behind that. It's Tony Shields and Barry Ford in their Mark II in third. C3, Gary Jennings, Rory Kennedy. This mirrors the top of the results, of course. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman, Neil Roskell, Rob Fagg. C10, Harry Stubbs, Emma Clark lead the way from Terry Phillips and Mark Lees, who we just saw in the Golf Challenge, the ex-Golf Challenge car. Harry Stubbs, Emma Clark in the lovely Mark II 4-door silver escort with the black leather cloth roof. Love to see that. Class C2, it's all about Group A as Phil Hopkins and Sammy Allen lead the way. And he told me that shakedown at Donington had done good, didn't he? He was right as well. So far, so good from Phil Hopkins. Steve Colley, Joseph Dooley behind, Max Bradshaw, Liam Whiteley behind them. It's the 90s leading the way, though, as far as the Evos are concerned. Love that as well. Gordon Morrison is our fastest. So far, 2-wheel drive Challenger with Charlotte McDowell alongside Leeds Class C3. Just 2 seconds, though, ahead of Hugh James and Lewis Sim. The fight is on, and not far behind them, Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer. In that ever sideways Escort G3. I'm sure if he drove it a little less sideways, he might be more on terms with those two up ahead. But I'm sure, without a shadow of a doubt, he won't want to be doing that. Sideways is the way for Lee Edwards. Alan Wellesby, Dan Parsons, Anthony Allery, Richard Bonner in a battle for the championship for C6. And they're only 0.9 of a second separating them as well, going into the final stage of this loop. Martin Jones, Leon Williams in third place in C6 in the Nova. Kevin McLaughlin, Neil Brogan leads the way in C8 with Carl Casement and Martin Burns second. Alex Kirk-Willie, Sasha Herriot in third place. And in C9, Mark Constantine, Andrew Constantine lead the way from Connor Brighton, Connor Farmer with Andrew Foster and Chloe Percival behind. But there you go. Ian Clare, Catherine Price in the Wolseley Hornet are off and rolling under their own steam. All of the cars that stopped in this final part of the stage are off and rolling and will live to fight another stage here this weekend on the Manx Rally. But some were not so lucky. And we'll see how they get on with Super Rally, hopefully later in the day. That's it then from our first live stream this afternoon. We will be live this evening from just before 7:30 for stages 7 and 8 Balladul, with some action in the stage and some reactions from our crews. For now, thank you for tuning in. We've loved having you with us. And the action here at the second round of the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship is delivering just one loop in, and we've got a whole way to go yet. 3 more loops, another day of action after this evening's stages. We can't wait. See you tonight.